Before I start, just like to say that got quite a lot of youngsters here, man. Got a lot of young boys here as well. It's not a topic that, you should just come and say, yeah, yo, we're gonna listen to this, man. It's not for the faint-hearted. I'm being straight up. I can see from really young guys here. Parents have brought them in. I'm gonna speak freely. Now, seriously, you are not going to complain to the Masjid committee or to Maulana over here about stuff that I'm going to say about jinns. Straight up. If your child is scared after this, because some of the incidents I might talk about in the actual, lecture itself, then you take responsibility. Seriously. Don't start Facebooking me. Seriously. People Facebook you afterwards, they say, why did you say this for? In 20 years, I've been giving, talks since actually a very long time, probably about 25 years now I've been giving talks, because I was giving talks for my madrasa days. There's only once in 25 years I've covered this topic. Once. And that was in my local masjid in Edmonton, this is Edmonton in London, okay, because I'm from London, the UK. And even then, we titled it as the world of the unseen. And the idea was, it was actually the 31st of October we did it. Allahu Akbar. Okay. And we planned it, me and the Maulana over there, we planned it, we said, let's just do it. But we didn't actually advertise as jinns, we didn't. How many people came? I think that lecture, there's only probably about 150, 100 that came. Because nobody knew it was going to be about jinns. If I had said it was jinns, I would have had it packed up like this. Because in the Jummah over there, we have 2,000 people. It's normal Jummah. Then after that, I actually said, when I told the faint-hearted to leave. Like I'm telling you today, if you're faint-hearted, just go, bro. Go enjoy life, man. Don't freak yourself out. Seriously. Second thing I said is, there will be people who will hear the things, and these are true stories I'm going to relate to you. They're not your blockbuster Hollywood movie that you're seeing from behind the screen. Don't put it on yet. I'm fine for now, yeah? Just leave it there. Don't put it on yet. These are not blockbuster movies that, Hollywood you've seen. I've got relatives who, I've got a couple of relatives who've actually counted, they've seen 169 horror movies. Right? It's counted. And they're not scared because it's not real, right? Guys, there's as many jinns sitting here as human beings right now. Right? Ooh. And I'm telling you seriously, after that 100, those relatives, if I was to relate one true story to them, they would not be the same. Because this is real. We're talking about the real world here. We're not talking about some, something that's done on movie, that's actually made up. None of it. There's no fabrication here. It's absolute truth that I'm going to talk to you about. Okay, and the other thing is that when I spoke to those 150 people, even though some did leave, I did get complaints afterwards. There was some people there's one family that rang actually, and they said, Shaykh, they said, our son used to get us up for Fajr. Our son used to get us up for Fajr. And since he heard your lecture that night, he don't come out of his room for Fajr. You know what I'm saying? Serious, this is a real family that's contacted me. There's another one, a woman contacted, and she said that, before I used to be fine walking there, now I avoid trees, shadows and trees in the night. I'm like, I don't want, and it's not that you're going to get freaked out. I'm warning you again, no one's leaving. I was expecting a mass exodus, go. So you want to stay? That's fine. You be my witness. They're staying still, right? No, it's up to them. Now they take responsibility, right? You wanna be tough? Alhamdulillah, it's good. It's good. And I've made it clear to you. Do I need to speak in Urdu as well? No, sure? Wow, this is US, not UK. The brother said this is US, not UK. Brother, do you know how many messages I get from the US? Do you know how many? No. Do you know how many I get? I've got people freaked out here without hearing my lectures. Leave you, brother, man. Leave you. Honestly, I can show you my Facebook, private contacts. I've got people over the US. The thing was, when I gave that lecture, I didn't expect the response. It's been viewed about 400,000 times. I didn't expect that because the people have copied and pasted it, but if you gather them all together, it's been viewed about 400,000 times. And I keep on getting messages about, Shaykh, we've got this problem here, ruqya problem, this problem, jinn problem, sihr problem. And I don't deal with it. I'm telling you right now, I do not deal with such problems. So in this lecture, if you freak out, we got bodyguards that are here who are going to escort you to the door, and you're going to be told, like according to this brother, go to the UK. You know what I'm saying? Because you're US, right? You're not going to get freaked out. So I've had a number of people telling me that there's this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem. And I get it every single week, up to now, every week, sometimes 3 messages, 4 messages, different people all over the world will contact me. And what I do is, I try and refer them on to others. I do not deal with the problems. And I'll tell you in the actual lecture why I don't deal with it, but I'm going to start because no one wants to leave. And I've heard the sisters are isolated downstairs. They're there, right? Yeah, they've got a cell phone just in case. Are you sure? Yeah, they're all right, yeah?
Just come forward, inshallah. There are brothers trying to come in. If there's any space in front of you, please try to fill in the gap.
I'm telling you to go backwards. He's telling you to come forwards, man. Subhanallah. Okay, let's make a start, inshallah. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. وقال تعالى خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. وقال تعالى قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. صدق الله العظيم. Okay, dear respected brothers and sisters, firstly, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And to all the jinns as well, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You didn't hear a reply there, did you? Okay, that's good. The topic here is about the world of the unseen, and it has a lot inside, not just the jinns, okay? And as we go along, we'll discuss it. If anyone wants to know the full lecture, because I'm not going to give the full thing here, just go to the internet, put my name in YouTube, put the world of the unseen, put that in there, and inshallah the whole lecture will come out where I spend my time talking about this. There may be a few things new that I might say in this one, which I haven't said in that one, but I would kindly request you first to switch off your mobile phones, okay? Please don't disturb us with your mobile phone going off. And second is, I actually don't want people to record this because I don't know what part you're going to record and where it's going to go and what clip's going to go. There was a story that was taken out of that lecture I gave on the world of the unseen, and it was titled, somebody took it out and they put a title, and the title was The Boy Who Became Hafiz in One Day. Okay, a lot of you might have come across that on YouTube. And some people really got scared from that one, because it's a true story, and there's no warning there. If you hear my full lecture, there's a full warning at the beginning. Go away, switch this off, don't listen to it. And a lot of people have actually met me and have said to me, when we heard that and you went into the first story, we just switched off. They've actually told me in real life, and I'm like, alhamdulillah, it's good. But the other one, the clip, and the certain clips that they made, there's no warnings there. It's just a straight up, and people think, yeah, boy, becomes Hafiz in one day, yeah, gotta go. No, yeah, dude, gonna become Hafiz in one day. When they hear of a jinn, they're like, mom, you know, like, they're crying for them. Honestly, there are cases where people have even, they'll even start crying for their mum if they come across these things, but only if you as a believer have failed in your own religion, and if you are weak, and if you are weak in your willpower, or in the Quranic recitation you're supposed to do, or in your things that you're supposed to read on a daily basis, then that creates weakness, which we'll talk about later on. But let's just go straight into the world of the unseen. In the world of the unseen, see, the world of the unseen is the real world. This is not the real world. This is not the real world. This world is temporary. Allah has called it al-hayatud dunya. He's called it the lowly world, the close world to us. But Allah said in various places of the Quran, in various different words, كُلُّ شَيْءٍ هَالِكٌ إِلَّا وَجْهَهُ وَكُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. Allah has told us that this world is going to be completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. I mean, nothing of it will remain. Not even, not even any dust that was here will remain at all for the Day of Judgment. We won't remain. We will have new faces or a new body with the same soul that is inside on the Day of Judgment. Yes, part of our body will be reconstructed, but on the Day of Judgment, people will get a different structure to the body, however Allah creates it. Okay, we'll be the same people. You'd recognize us as the same people, but there'll be some difference to it, because certain ahadith say, for example, the one who is two-faced will come with two bodies on the Day of Judgment. Right? That's a serious thing. The mu'adhin will come up on the Day of Judgment with his neck that, like a giraffe. His head will be way up there. His body is transformed, is changed. Why? Because Allah wants people to recognize the one who called his name and made his name so high on the earth. Okay? So he'll make the mu'adhin's neck long on the Day of Judgment. The one who was murdered, according to Sahih Hadith, will come on the Day of Judgment. He'll find his murderer. And the murdered, the victim, will have his head in his hands with blood dripping from the veins. And he will bring the murderer to Allah on the day of Judgment and will say, هَذَا قَتَلَنِي. Oh Allah, this is the man who killed me. Now look at the body. He's got his head in his hands. And Allah will cause that on the Day of Judgment. There's going to be many differences on the Day of Judgment that we don't have on this earth. Anyway, point is, this world is not a real world for us, as in it's not a permanent world. The permanent world is the world of the unseen that we can't see right now. But once we die, our bodies, which is the real body we have, is the souls inside. That's who we really are. This body you've got, where you've got your face, you're seeing through these eyes here, this skull, okay? Even the eye itself, the pupils, all of that, they are just a structure within which I have been trapped, you have been trapped. We are souls. We are arwah, we are ruh. That's a real self. You do not have a soul. You have a body, but you are the soul. Okay? You are the soul. So yes, we've got a body, but real me, is not this. This is not me. Inside here, there is a soul. And that's the real me. And when we die, that soul is released from the body and we enter into the unseen world. Unseen to all the human beings right now, unseen to even the jinns right now, we will enter that world and we will live in that world forever. We came from that world. We came from that unseen world before we were even born. So the hadith of Bukhari explains how an angel brings the soul into the fetus, into the mother's womb, and at 4 months it blows it. Hadith of Bukhari, ثُمَّ يَنْفُخُ فِيهِ الرُّوحِ. It blows the soul into the fetus. So what is the ruh? Again, there's a lot of ikhtilaf, there's a lot of difference of opinion of this, what the ruh is. Is it a small part in our body somewhere? Is it in our heart? Is it in some part of our body, maybe where the throat is? Some opinion is that. Some have said where the head is. Some have said where the feet is. Some have said, where feet are. Some have said where the arms are. But the best sort of opinion is that the ruh or the soul, whenever I say the word ruh, it means soul, okay? The ruh is a it's an intangible substance that can stretch and that can expand and also decrease in size, and is something which fills our bodies like air pressure in a tire. Okay? So you have a car tire, you put air pressure inside it, that's the same way. So basically the ruh is in all parts of our body. That's one of the opinions, and that's kind of a preferred opinion, that the ruh is not in one place of our body, but it's actually spread out to all the different parts of our bodies. Okay? That's what the angel did when me and you were not even born. We were 4 months, our mothers were in 4 months of pregnancy, and they blew us in there. Now, when we come out to this world, immediately we still, because we're babies, we still can see the unseen world. Okay? We can even, we can see things in the unseen world. But as we grow till about 5, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, somewhere down the line, we actually lose that connection, and we're pretty much living in this world, seeing the seen world, and we can't see the unseen world. Okay? If you want to do a tester on this, I've done it several times, that the fact that babies are actually engaging somehow in the unseen world, and I'm not saying this is a concrete proof, okay? So I don't want you to hold onto this. But I want to say to you, you can test this. So what you do is just take a 3-month-old baby, 4-month-old baby into your arms, okay? Into your arms. And you can just start saying whatever you want. Say whatever you want, talk, sing what you like, okay? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. You're thinking, my God, did that come here for a nursery rhyme, man? Give it a break, man. You can sing what you like. I had to say Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star because I can't sing for you from, Be For You and all these other, MTV or something. Come on, guys, man, give me a break. So you sing that or sing anything, you'll see the baby and it'll just be, looking just normal. The moment you actually recite the Quran, and I've tried this with my own children. I've got 3 children. I've tried it with them. I've tried it with other children as well. The moment you recite the Quran, the baby's eyes start looking straight up to the ceiling. And they're almost like looking left, right. They're just in amazement. They're not even looking at your face. Recite the Quran, recite it with them, and you'll see what they do. Why? Because when you recite the Quran, the angels are descending. Okay? The angels are descending. And I'm not going to say it's a concrete proof, but you know what? There's something very unusual about that babies do that at that age. When they grow up a bit, or they get to the 6 months, 7 or 8 months, they'll just stop doing that. Okay? Because then they get engaged with this hayatul dunya, this particular life. Now, what happens is, Allah Azza wa Jal, in the beginning, He created the pen. And He told the pen to write. He created the tablet. And the pen wrote on the tablet. And Allah wrote everything that would happen. This is from His infinite knowledge. Not that He fixes everything for us, but He knows eventually what choices will be made. Not that He made the choices for us, but He has full knowledge of what is about to happen. So He's in full control of what is there. Then Allah Azza wa Jal, He created, at some point, He created the angels. Now the angels, again, are creatures which Allah created of the unseen, which, they're made of nur and light. We know this from the ahadith. Okay? Even in the Quran, there are references about the angels all over. The angels have wings, but they're not necessarily like birds' wings. You can't depict them as birds' wings. We don't know what shape their wings are, and we don't know how they sort of, use those wings. But we do know they have wings. And the Quran in Surah Fatir just tell us that uli ajniha mathna wa thulatha wa ruba'. There will be some angels with a set of just one set of wings, some with 3, some with 4. Okay, Allah Azza wa Jal creates them like that. And there are more, because in a hadith of Bukhari it talks about Jibreel alayhi salatu salam, who has 600 wings. Okay? And if he was to spread out his wings, then just 2 of his wings would cover the entire horizon. Okay? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw Jibreel alayhi salam in his real form twice in his life. Now this brings us to another thing, which is angels actually change shapes. And they can change shapes and form, and they can come even into a human form. When Jibreel alayhi salam came to Maryam, if you just move slightly back, the young boy, inshallah, I'll have some space to move my feet. Thank you. When Jibreel alayhi salam, he came to Maryam radiyallahu anha, the mother of Isa, the mother of Jesus, and he said to her, he was a human being, and he was a beautiful man, an excellent and beautiful man. You could look at him and you'd think that he's an actual man. And he said, I've come here to give you a child. And this was like, whoa, blasphemy. And you know the story, but he said, no, this is going to be without a father. And then he blows. He just blows on her chest, and from that she conceives. And that was the ruh of Sayyidina Isa ibn Maryam was given to Jibreel from Allah, and he just blew it onto her, and that went straight into her womb, and she conceived a baby. But he came in the form of a man. فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. He was a full man. So we know from this that angels can actually become human beings. There's even a hadith where the angels come as a human being, and they test certain people. This can happen to anyone at any time. The angels could be here right now in the form of a human being, you wouldn't even know. Okay, the hadith talks about them coming to a bald man, testing him, a blind man testing him, a man with leprosy testing them. And the angel comes again and again and asks them, what they want, and eventually gives them things, and right at the end sees whether they're thankful to God or not. This is clear cut. Harut and Marut were 2 angels sent to the earth. This is Surah Baqarah. Malakain bibabil, Harut or Marut. Babylon, there were 2 angels sent as human beings. And the concept of Christianity, where it talks about the fallen angel, we do not have such a concept in Islam. There are no such things as a fallen angel. What's a fallen angel? A fallen angel is an angel which God created that comes to the earth but then falls in love with a woman, and therefore wants to accept a mortal life, and then is thrown from the sight of God. And Allah, na'udhu billah, I'm saying all of this, but I just want to give you the comparison. This is not true, by the way, but God, according to some Christians, He transfers them from an immortal angel to a mortal human being, and they live with that woman for the rest of their life until they die, and they die as a mortal. Okay, that's a fallen angel. We have no such concept in Islam. In Islam, every single angel will 100% obey Allah. يَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. Allah said in Surah Al-Tahrim, Surah number 6, Surah number 66, I think it's ayah number 6 or something. So this is their nature. They are completely obedient to what Allah Azza wa Jal tells them to do. They will never go against His will. There are some angels, however, who question Allah not because they are objecting, but because they want further understanding. And Shah Waliullah Rahimullah has divided the angels in his Hujjatullah al-Baligha in 2 sets. He says there are angels who just do as they're told, and there are angels who will question because they have a higher order thinking. Like if you open the Quran in Surah Baqarah in the beginning, the angels questioned Allah, why is He creating a human being as Adam alayhi salam, who most likely is going to cause bloodshed on the earth, just like the jinns did before. Yasfiku dima, they're going to shed blood. And Allah then put them to the test to show what this human being is capable of. So what this shows is that angels can question, some angels can question, but it's for a higher order thinking. Now angels are in the billions and trillions and zillions and whatever else you want to put to it. No angel will ever die until Allah makes that angel die because of the blowing of the horn. Just at Day of Judgment, Allah will make all the angels die. So even, there's a lot of ikhtilaf in this, but I'm just giving you the most popular sort of view, which Ibn Kathir rahimahullah has also mentioned in his tafsir, that at the blowing of the horn, when Allah decides to destroy the whole of the existence, then eventually when humans have died, jinns have died, angels will start dying, and then the main angel will also die, and even angel of death will die, and Israfil, who's blowing the horn, he will also die. And that's when you see the effect of kullu man alayha fan. Everything has been destroyed, and the one only living is Allah Azza wa Jal. Kullu shay'in halikun illa wajha. That's the time when you see that only Allah exists, because there'll be nothing that exists. And then Allah will bring everything back to life again. He'll bring the angels back to life again. He'll bring the humans back to life again, the jinns back to life again, and He'll even bring all the creatures back to life again, because the creatures have souls. All these animals, they have something inside them, okay? And they have feelings inside them as well. He'll bring them up. And for them, it's going to, for the creatures or creation of God other than humans and jinns, Allah is going to deal with them by, the hadith says that if a goat was to butt another goat, a billy goat was to butt another billy goat, and he broke his horn in the dunya, then Allah will resurrect both of them, and this one will then break the other one's horn, and straight away when that happens, Allah will turn them to dust. That's the end of all your dinosaurs, okay? End of all your great creatures, whatever they were. Dinosaurs are true, that's fine. They existed sometime before. We can tell from the bone structure and so on. Whatever they were, they existed before. They will be put to dust. The lions and all the different creatures will be put to dust. Brothers who are coming in, there's plenty of space in between. There are gaps. Just come and join in. If you find any more space, brothers, just shift up. Shift up. Don't leave the space. You don't need to leave the space for the jinns. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Just our jinn brothers are here. Don't worry about it. Our jinn brothers are here. I would be very surprised if there's no jinns here. I'll be very surprised. Yeah, they're here anyway. They're here with you when you pray. But today, they're here, mashallah. Go back up there, go back up there. So, the whole of the creation will all be wiped out, and the only ones that exist on that day are three. Okay? The angels, they'll be alive. As many angels Allah created, they will always be alive. And number two, the human beings. Number three, the jinns. And upon the jinns and the humankind is the hisab, is Allah's judgment. The angels don't get judged for anything because they cannot ever sin. They cannot ever sin. It's never in their nature to sin or disobey Allah. They don't even have the mechanism inside them to disobey Allah. Only the jinns and the human beings have that. Okay? We're at the test. The angels are not tested for anything. So the angels are the ones carrying out Allah's command on the Day of Judgment. They will deal with Allah's authority on that day. So if Allah says take someone to Jannah, the angels will accompany them to Jannah. If Allah says throw them in hellfire, the angels will do that. Okay? The angels will do that. And they're just there on the Day of Judgment to carry out Allah's commands and nothing more. Okay? Now come back to the beginning of creation. When Allah Azza wa Jal created the angels, okay, they just worshipped Allah all the time. All the time, non-stop. There are certain angels who've never stopped saying Subhanallah since they've been created. وَالسَّابِحَاتِ sabha. Allah has taken an oath on these angels. There are certain angels who've never left the saf or the line they stood on or upon when they were created. وَالصَّافَاتِ صَفًّا. They just stand there just in awe of Allah and in praise of Allah. ذَاكِرَاتِ ذِكْرًا. Just standing there, just taking Allah's name, invoking His name over and over again. There are certain angels in sujood all their lives, from the moment they were created, before mankind, till now, they're still in sujood. They have no pains in their bodies, they've got no bone structure, they've got no material body whatsoever that will put them in any pain. They don't need to eat, they don't need to drink. All they do is carry out Allah's commands. And they've just been there in the fourth heaven. I mean, we know that there are 7 heavens. Okay, so what are the 7 heavens? I mean, heaven doesn't mean the sky. The blue sky you see, that's just a reflection that shows you the end of, this kind of sphere and the beginning of space. That's not a heaven. That's not, as-sama can be that. In Arabic, in the Quran, sama can refer to 2 things. It can refer to this blue sky here and the clouds in the blue sky. It can refer to that. But when the sab'u samawati wal ard, the 7 heavens and the earth is referred to, it's referred to the end of space. Okay? You go into the blackness of space, you go up and up and up and up and up, you come to a massive doorway. How do we know the doorway exists? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made that journey on Mi'raj. And he made the full journey through the 7 heavens. Okay, so he went from the earth all the way to, went first to Jerusalem, and then he went to the first heaven, and there are angels guarding that door. No jinn has ever gone through that. Jinns can fly, we know that. Jinns have the ability to be invisible and they can fly. And yes, they can fly in space if they want. They can fly in space. And they have done that for, as long as Allah has created them, they've been going out there. They can do that. Because they don't need oxygen like us. They're not restricted to oxygen. They can even live underwater if they want. They're not restricted to oxygen. Okay? And there are jinns that go underwater. Sulaiman alayhi salam had jinns, the ghawwas. In the Quran it says that he sent them to the oceans to dive very deeply and to take out the pearls and the different precious stones from the seabed. And there were others that he made them make monuments. They can build things if they want. They can even interact with the human world and build things if they want. Now we'll try and get to that later on. So the jinns can go up in space, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to the end of space, the darkness, the blackness, and there's a doorway. And on the night of Mi'raj, the voice came from the other side. Who is it? And the answer was, it's Jibreel and Mikael with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the voice then said, has he got permission? Because without permission you can't go through there. We actually go through there, through that. If you're a good believer, at the time of your death, you will go through this doorway. And not only through this doorway, the believer goes to the 7th heaven. Within seconds, you go to the 7th heaven. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla addresses you according to a Sahih hadith in Ahmad. He says, a-nafsu tayyiba, a good soul. And then he says, go back to your body. He said, they'll be meeting in a little while. But as for the non-believer, his soul goes to the extent of the 1st heaven, doesn't go through and comes back down, according to that narration of Ahmad. And there are other narrations to back this up. Okay, so only the believer, after he dies, his soul will go through this. Now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through this. He went through the second one. Now once you come out of the 1st heaven, this is like basically the end of space. When you come out through that door, you're in another world. It's like being from the center of an onion ring. You're moving out and out and out. So you're going through layers and layers and layers of what Allah has created. But it's not completely like an onion, because the rings of an onion are not too bigger than the last ring that you see. But the size of the 2nd heaven compared to the 1st heaven, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us in a hadith of Tirmidhi that it's like basically if you take the whole of space, all the galaxies, all the billions of stars, including planet Earth, and the whole of the earth, and including your great United States of America, because you guys think you're bigger than the universe. Something's wrong with you guys, I'm telling you. United States of America, yeah, Joe, we're going to smoke them out. You control the world, man. You do what you like. Man. You guys don't even know where we are on the map in the world. Seriously. Half you kids couldn't even point out where England is on the map. Anyway, there's 7 heavens and 7 earths. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that hadith, if you take the whole of space with all the billions of galaxies, everything inside, and planet Earth, all of it together, that is, if you just imagine, is a coin. A coin. And if that coin is placed on a desert, then the circumference of the desert is the second heaven. And the circumference of the coin is this entire space. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how? You can't imagine how big this is. And if you say you can imagine it, you need to go to mental hospital. Because as many times I've read this, I just can't imagine it. I can understand it, but I can't imagine it, right? And then he told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the second heaven, because what happens is you come out from this heaven and you come out to another earth. So that's the earth, ard, of the second heaven. So we actually are trapped inside the second earth, whatever that is, okay? There are 7 earths. And when you're out into the second earth, it has its own heaven. And that's the desert-like, circumference compared to the coin, which is aslat in our whole space, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has compared to. And then he says, if you take the first heaven, first earth, second heaven, second earth, and you were to compare it with the third one, the first and second will look like a coin placed in a desert. And you take the third and the second and first, compare it to the fourth one, the same. And the same happens with the fourth, all fourth to the fifth, and like that till you get to the 7th. So these are spaces that none of us can imagine. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam transcended all of these till he went beyond the 7th heaven. What happens when you get beyond the 7th heaven? When you get beyond, in the 6th heaven, you've got a tree that sticks, its roots stick out. Okay, Sidratul Muntaha, there's a tree there, and you go to the 7th one and the branches are coming out. And you also have another Kaaba there, the Kaaba of the angels, and it's known as Baytul Ma'mur. And that is mentioned in Surah Tur, Wal Baytul Ma'mur. Allah has taken an oath by that. That this is a Kaaba of the angels, and 70,000 angels come and swirl around and do tawaf of this Kaaba on the 7th heaven. And none of those 70,000 will ever return till the Day of Judgment to do another tawaf. But a new 70,000 every day will come. Imagine how many angels Allah Azza wa Jalla has created. Okay? So beyond that, what is there? Well, beyond that, then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he went above that, he toured hellfire and he toured Jannah. And he got a glimpse of the Day of Judgment, what it will be. He stood at Jannah and Allah showed him things that will happen on the Day of Judgment for the future. He showed him certain people who will end up in hellfire and what the situation would be. He even came into Jannah and with his real body, with his soul, both together as he was awake, fully awake on that particular night when he went there. It wasn't a dream. He went into Jannah. He even got to the house of Umar radiallahu anhu. And he was going to enter, but later on he said to Umar, he said, out of embarrassment, I didn't go. As in, I wanted you to be the first one to go in your own house. Allahu Akbar. And he actually heard the footsteps of Bilal radiallahu anhu when he was in Jannah from the ground, and we know that was because he used to, thank Allah Azza wa Jalla and pray 2 rakats for the water Allah Azza wa Jalla has given him. Okay? So he heard his footsteps from Jannah. Okay? He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the only individual who's ever entered Jannah and come out of Jannah. There is nobody else like that. Nobody else will ever be able to do that, and nobody else will want to do that, because once you're in Jannah, you don't want to come out. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came all the way back to this earth. Okay? And these are from Sahih Ahadith in Muslim and so on to tell us about the realm of where we actually are. On every single heaven, there are angels. And right now, through the doorway of that gateway, let's call it a gateway at the end of our space, angels are coming in and out. They're coming in and out all the time to the earth. Thousands and hundreds of thousands are coming. The big rush hour, they have a rush hour. Just like you have a rush hour. Not that they clash into each other, they're going really slow, like Chicago, New York. It's not like that, okay? Rush hour means that there's an extra amount of angels that come in and going up and down. And that is Fajr time and Asr time. Because that's when the two angels that have been sitting here, and there's angels in every single person's shoulders, those two angels sitting here, and they're taking notes down of everything we're saying and that we're doing. Okay, they're taking it down. Even your thoughts are captured. If you've got a good thought, you want to do something good, it's captured, you get a good reward for it. You have a bad thought, they wait. And if you said, no, I'm not going to do it, you get a reward for that as well, because you removed your bad thought. But if you didn't remove your bad thought and your bad intention, then you might get a sin for it. Okay? So they will take all these records and they change them the shift changes at Fajr and at Asr. Okay? These are angels taking our records. There are hundreds and thousands of angels all around for mercy, just to give out Allah's mercy. There are the Hafadha, angels that protect us. This is in the Quran. In kullu nafsin lamma alayha hafiz, Allah said. There is no single human being, Muslim or non-Muslim, except Allah has given them an angel that guards them. And if you want to know how you're guarded, put your hand up if you've ever nearly been hit at your eye with something that came so fast that you just couldn't see, but somehow you moved your head just in time that it didn't hit your eye, but it hit probably the side of your eye or somewhere, or your eyebrow, or just missed you. If that ever happened in your life, put your hand up. Come on guys, own up. You do live in the USA, you do have problems in the USA as well, okay? Okay, my friend? That's most of them, right? You know what happened there? It was the angel that was guarding you, because the brain can't register that item coming that fast. It can't register it. It's in a split second. Scientifically, it cannot register it. The angel guarding you just pushes you. You just go like that. How do you just make that move? How? It was a guarding angel, and everyone has that. And if you want to increase your guarding angels, then you start learning Ayatul Kursi. Okay, Ayatul Kursi. Because if you suffer from nightmares, guaranteed, I guarantee for you, you sleep, clean, as in you don't have the, urine or anything else, or uncleanness where, on your body, on your clothes, and like that. That's very key to all our Sharia. The whole Sharia is based on this. Don't go around trying to say Islam doesn't work when you don't even know how to use the toilet. If you don't know how to use the toilet, go and learn how to use the toilet. And if you still don't know, ask someone. And I know you're not going to ask someone, so I'm going to tell you right now. Your little hose pipe down there, it squirts. And you've got to be careful. Because it's not water that's coming out. It's something unclean and it's smelly. And if you stand up and you think you're a fire engine, then you're going to cause disaster. Because you'll get urine on the toilet seat, you'll probably get urine on your clothes, and you probably got urine on your skin. And if you haven't really cleansed yourself properly, then urine is on you. Okay? All men and boys, you have to Islamically sit down to use the toilet. You have to do this. You know why? Because jinns love people who are unclean. I'm being serious. Islam's not going to work for you. Quran doesn't work for you. Because if you're unclean, it does not work for you. And you complain, why doesn't this work for me? Well, you're unclean. It's a basic necessity. You can't use a battery if it's wet. Certain elements like, electronics, you have to have them dry for them to work. There's a very clear message there. Do not spill water over it. God has told you, do not spill your hose pipe over yourself. You understand? You don't get it. You know the lemonade that comes out? Don't leave it on yourself. If you still don't get it, in the kiddies language, they call it wee-wee. Don't leave it on your clothes. Don't leave it on any mess on your skin. You have to clean yourself properly with tissue, with water. Honestly, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes. I don't know if this has ever been covered before, but this is so important, right? Honestly, some people don't know how to use the toilet, and I'm going to tell you straight up. Apart from you going in there with your left foot, okay? You go inside there, you close the door, okay? Yeah, you're going to sit down? No, you don't sit down. You take your clothes off first, you know what I'm saying? Right? You pull it down, you sit down, fine. Okay, make sure you clean the toilet seat first before you sat down. Take some tissue and you clean it. Because you don't want somebody else's lemonade getting on you. You know what I'm saying? And if you're putting your feet in the sandals, be careful, because if it's wet or the floor is wet, it could be some urine on there. And honestly speaking, Allah's angels will not be with you. Allah's angels of mercy will not be with you if urine is on your clothes or your skin. So that's why we take our socks off. And then you put your feet in the slippers. Oh, you have your shoes on if it's a common toilet, okay, outside there. You go inside, you've cleaned the toilet seat, you sit down, and then you do your business. After you do your business, okay, you take tissue, okay, and if it's a sunnah to take odd amount of tissues, if you can. It's a sunnah, you get extra reward for that. If you don't, no problem, take tissue and you wipe it. What hand do you use in the toilet? What hand? Come on, guys. Left. Okay, cool. You know all those left-handers who eat with the left hand and they say, the Shaykh, I can't do it. Shaykh, I can't. I'm used to my left hand. I can't do it. You tend to eat with the right hand, what do they say? I can't, Shaykh. I can't do it. My mum always told me to eat with my left hand because I'm a left-hander. You understand my language, or am I speaking some gibberish right now? You know what? I was actually confused at one point. How do I get through to these guys, left-handers? Because there's 5% of the population are left-handers. So I came up with a brilliant one. I said to all the left-handers, and I want you to do the same thing. Say, listen, my friend. You claiming you can't do it. You know me? For 40 years of my life, every time I've gone to the toilet, I'm a right-hander, but I know how to use my left hand. Do you understand? I'm a left-hander when it comes to toilet. 4 times a day. No miss. And you need to be a right-hander 4 times a day when you eat. So don't give me none of that, you can't do it. Okay? So you go in the toilet, you use your left hand, you clean it with tissue, okay? If you're ever going to touch a private part, you touch it with your left hand. If you want to clean it with something else, tissue, you can use your right hand with the tissue and clean it. Okay? And then you've got to use water to clean that part. Once you've used your water, don't get up. Get tissue and clean off the water. Clean it off. And for some men, and I'm being serious about this, I don't know if Molly Saabs or Sheikhs have ever covered this because it's not a thing you would cover, but I don't care because you don't have to call me back again. Right? I'm here for I can mess it up for you, man. No, seriously. Some men, they have urine still remaining in their tube. And it comes out when they walk, or when they cough, or when they sit down immediately straight after that. Some parts of urine can come out. So what do? You take your fingers down there, it's in the books of fiqh, and there's no shame in saying this because you're going to probably learn the most important thing in your life is that take your 2 fingers here, press it from underneath the tube, and take your thumb from above and press it down, and then just basically press it all out. Press it all out. Take it out like a tube. And then wait. Use some more tissue, maybe more water, wait for a little while, and then do it again. Just press it all out. And then do maybe a 3rd time until you're satisfied that there's no more urine left inside here. Clean up with tissue. Fine. You pull your trousers up or whatever, and then you clean the toilet seat. Make sure it's clean. Flush the toilet, wash your hands, and come out with your right foot, say the dua. Fine, now you've done it. Okay? You should not get any remains of urine coming out when you walk. Men are very embarrassed to talk about this. And I'm telling you straight up because a lot of people ask me privately and I tell them. But to get a gathering like this to tell you to do it is really difficult, but I've just done it. So go and do it properly. And do not stand up like Fireman Sam and put out a fire in the toilet by standing up. Okay? It's dangerous. It's dangerous for you because why? The angel of mercy will move away from you. The guarding angel will also not like to be with you. You now are exposed to the jinns. And if there's bad jinns, I'm not going to say all jinns are bad. There are good jinns and there are bad jinns. And if the bad jinn wants to come and be next to you or be with you or follow you, then he can follow you and be next to you because you got urine on your skin or your clothes. One of the biggest things of ruqya and why ruqya doesn't work on some people, ruqya means when you're blowing on people to take the spirit out or the ghost or whatever out, it doesn't work is because they don't keep themselves clean. Sisters, I'm going to say specifically with their monthlies, please put those pads away, expose of them properly. There shouldn't be any smell coming out in the bathroom. There shouldn't be any of those that cause anyone else any, uncomfortable, feelings of having that right in front of them. Just put it in a wrap or something, tie it properly and get rid of it nicely. Because the smells that are known as something which we would say in Urdu napak, okay, most of you probably understand that, or in English we'll say impure. You don't always get the right translation in English. But those impure things in the Sharia, Allah has told us not to deal with. Those are the things that the evil jinns and the shayateen, they love. They love that kind of stuff. And the more of the filth of that kind you have, the more they will be around. They'll frequently come. Okay. Anyway, get back to, I drifted off quite a bit there because I had to get you lot to use the toilet properly. Inshallah, from now on, we don't have to clean the toilets properly, right, in the masjid, yeah? Because every masjid, they have the same problem. Men just come in, they just use the toilet as they want. The sisters' toilets, mashallah. Brothers' toilets, astaghfirullah. I'm being serious. I was an imam in the masjid. When everyone used to go out of the masjid, I used to live inside the masjid. Everyone's out of the masjid. I used to lock the doors. And if I had a free choice, I'd go and use the sisters' toilets. When the whole masjid is empty. Not a freak. They're the most clean toilets you can get. Because they always sit down. Seriously, they always sit down. You go to the men's toilet, even the masjid, it smells unless you have a good cleaner who's cleaning all the time. And that shouldn't happen. It should not happen. Anyway, the angels Allah has created, there are angels that guard you. There are angels that are sending or spreading salutations of the Prophet ﷺ, and they take you to Rasulullah ﷺ. There are angels out there that are just controlling, just bringing the winds or doing other duties. Allah knows how many angels are created and for what purpose. But there's a central thing about the angels. The angels are not tested by Allah Azza wa Jal, which means that the angels can see the jinns and they can see the human beings. Okay, they see all. They see all. There are angels that even protect jinns. Good jinns, they'll protect them. Okay, that's for them as well. Because it says, "In kullu nafsin lamma alayha hafiz." Every single soul Allah has created, and the jinns have got souls as well, and the angels will protect them. But if they're bad jinns, the angels won't want to be with them. But the jinns also have two angels by them, recording everything that they do. Everything applies. That part applies to them as well. Now, the angels do not see. So the angels will see the humans and the jinns. And the angels normally will not see Allah. Only if Allah reveals Himself to an angel, he will see it. But even Jibreel alayhi salam on the night of Mi'raj said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "You go ahead beyond the seventh heaven. I can't go ahead. Because if I go ahead now, I will burn." So even Jibreel alayhi salam doesn't usually get to see Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay? We know in Ahadith he has a conversation with Allah. We don't know when he sees Him, how he sees Him, what time. We don't know any of that. But we know that it's not a usual thing for angels to see Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay? So Allah sees all. Allah sees the angels, Allah sees the jinn, Allah sees the humankind, and all the creatures, and everything else in its intricate details. Okay? The angels see the jinns and the human beings. The jinns, they see us. They don't see the angels. They don't see Allah Azza wa Jal. But they see us. We don't see any of them. Okay? That's a big difference. We don't see even jinns. We don't see angels. And we don't see Allah Azza wa Jal. We humans and the jinns will get a chance to see Allah first on the Day of Judgment if you're a true believer. And if you've been doing your salah. If you've been doing your salah in this world, there's a moment when Allah will tell everyone to do ruku and sujood. That's when Allah will reveal Himself first time to some human beings and some jinns on the Day of Judgment. The second time He'll reveal Himself is in Jannah. When everyone's comfortable inside, He will reveal Himself to all. Okay? That's Al-Husna. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى. Sorry, that's ziyada. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. There's an extra thing, extra benefit that Allah gives. Okay, that's us and jinns in terms of seeing Allah. In terms of seeing angels, we will see angels, jinns will see angels only when death occurs. Only when death occurs. That's in, like an angel with nur and light and how they are, that's when we'll see them. When we come out this body, when the soul comes out of the body, that's when we'll see the angels. It's too late to do tawbah once you see that. Okay? The moment these angels come to take your soul, it's too late to repent to Allah Azza wa Jal. The hadith says in Muslim, Malam yugharghir. Until you haven't seen that moment, you're okay to do tawbah. Okay, so the jinns and the humans will see the angels at that point. The humans on the Day of Judgment will see the jinns, and the jinns will see the human beings on the Day of Judgment. And Allah will address all of them on that day. Ya ma'ashar al-jinni wal-ins. In the Quran, in several references, Allah will call out to the humankind and the jinns, and the hisab, the account will happen on the Day of Judgment. Okay? Now, can we see jinns in this world? And how can we see them, and why would we see them, and so on, and where do they exist, and who are they? Now we come to the crux of the whole thing of, where you guys should leave. But you still don't want to leave. Okay? Fine. I've given you plenty of warnings. Okay. The jinns are just like us in terms of having a soul. The jinns have got their own world out there, just as we've got a world. The jinns will have things of their own currency. They have their own food out there. They have the whole world of places they live, but they prefer to live in certain places. Okay? They prefer to live in uninhabited places where human beings don't necessarily live. That's where a lot of the jinns normally would like to live. Where there's no one, it's just them. Okay? Where there's caves, they like to stay in caves because normally human beings don't live in caves. Where there's thickets of trees and forests and jungles, okay, where human beings won't necessarily live, they like to live there. Where there's islands in the middle of the ocean, they love that. Where there's even a lot of water and sea and ocean, they even love to stay there. There's a hadith in Muslim that describes Iblis being at the bottom of an ocean somewhere where he's got his whole throne. And the different shayateen come and report to him. At an ocean somewhere, okay, in water somewhere, okay. So they stay there. Now, these are the common places they like to stay. However, jinns also like to stay where humans can stay. Okay? Usually, you will have good jinns that will stay in inhabited places where we've got. Now, the masjid is a place where jinns will frequently come. They'll come in the masjid. They'll frequently come in the masjids. And they'll come pray salah. They'll come and pray salah. In this masjid, there will be jinns and they will come and pray salah. Most of the time, they will not reveal themselves to human beings because there's a law that tells them to keep on their side and they shouldn't really be bothering us. Okay? And jinns won't necessarily break that law, but if they want to, they can. And I'm going to get into that. But in their world, if they do come into our inhabited places, they could live in your house. Every house could have a jinn. And sometimes you can even hear them. It's fine. Normally they're good jinns. Normally they're good jinns. They'll do good things. They just won't bother you. They live with you, your family, your generation, your son's generation, your grandson's generation. The same jinns are living there because they have long lives. They have serious long lives. Where a human being will die in 60, 70 years, it might take them 1,000 years to die. It could take them hundreds of years to die. It could take them centuries to die. Okay? So they do have long lives. And they could live with generations and generations of your generations in your house. But most of the time, they won't bother you. Okay, they're good jinns. But sometimes you could get the odd, evil jinn, or what we know as a shaitan, could come. And when I say shaitan, look, I don't want people to confuse it, right? There's one big main shaitan who's Iblis. Iblis was never ever an angel. He was always a jinn. Okay? Iblis has always been a jinn. Iblis only got to the ranks of the angels because he was a very close jinn in terms of worshipping Allah at one point before the humans were created. Iblis then got banished because he disobeyed Allah when it came to bowing down to Adam alayhi salam, because he was all about Iblis wanting to get khilafah on the ground. He wanted to be the next civilization on the ground. That was Iblis. And when Allah created Adam alayhi salam, our forefather, all of a sudden, Iblis he became arrogant. He had a lot of pride. And he also displayed jealousy. He argued with Allah and he said, that human being and all his progeny, I'm going to try and take them astray with my dhurriya, with my progeny. So Iblis, as being a jinn, could have kids. They can have children, just like you have children. They have children. So he made a promise that he's going to misguide us as many of us he can. Now, that shaitan or shayateen, there's plenty of them. Okay, they just want to come to us, and there's one shaitan appointed to every single human being, and there's also an angel appointed for you. And there's an angel here, right here on the right hand side. You've got an angel to your heart. On the left hand side, you've got shaitan, and they stay with you for life. So sometimes in your mind you think you want to do something bad, it could come from the shaitan. And sometimes when you think I should do something good, it comes from the angel. And that's in a clear hadith. Okay, that actually occurs. Now, those are shaitans. Those are devils, and Allah Azza wa Jal has appointed for every single human being different devils, and they will stay with you for life. Even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had one. But his one, the hadith says, فَأَسْلَمَ, which means that shaitan became a Muslim, or fa'aslama, I am safe from the shaitan. So that shaitan did not harm the Prophet ﷺ in any way, or give any waswasa or any whisperings at any point of Rasulullah ﷺ's life. But there was one that probably converted or just did not bother the Prophet ﷺ. But it's in a hadith that he was there. And every human being has one. So these are shayateen. Now jinns, when we say jinns, they are of this invisible realm. What are they created from? Well, they're created from fire. Allah said, min nar, from fire they're created. As the angels are created from light, they're created from fire. Iblis was also created from fire. Now the nature is that they are hot. Okay? And they do like, cool places. Cold places don't bother them. The seas are very cold, caves are cold. It don't bother them because in nature they're quite hot. And if you have like a room that's unused for a long period of time, they could make themselves comfortable there if they wanted to. If you've got an attic or something, or a place where you don't normally go, they could. It's not that they're going to be there, but they could stay there. So it's always good if you've got a room in your house that you're not normally using, always good to open the curtains every single day. If you can, because you want to let light in. The jinns like darkness more than they like light. Okay? Daylight, they're okay with daylight, but they prefer the night. That's why Rasulullah ﷺ has told us, when it comes to Maghrib time, don't send your children out to play at that time. Don't send them out to play. Why? Because that's when the shayateen get up, they wake up. It's a time to come out and mess around. That's the time they're waking up. We wake up in the morning, they like to wake up in the evening. And that's why, don't send your children out at that time outside to play. And women who are in the households, it's not a time to take the garbage out after Maghrib or by Maghrib time. Men take it out fine. Just say Bismillah. Look, even women or children, if you want to get your protection, the thing to do is the word Bismillah is key. You enter your house, you say Bismillah, no shaitan, no devil, no jinn will follow you in. You exit your house, you say Bismillah, no devil or shaitan or jinn can stay with you. You close and open your window with Bismillah, same thing. They can't enter. Okay? Even in hadith, and these are all in hadith, even to the extent that the pots of food you have in your house, say Bismillah when you take the lid off, and say Bismillah when you put the lid back on. It prevents the jinns from putting their hands in and wanting to eat something from there. Because they do eat our food. One of the things that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us very clearly was that when we finish with our bones of meat and we throw it away, then the jinns will come and eat the same bones, but there's meat on them for them. And this was a specific complaint that came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, some Sahaba in the early stage were, you had to go out in the wild to use the toilet, in the sand or wilderness, and sometimes they found bones. Okay, so they would take the bone and clean themselves, because you didn't have tissues. You either took mud rocks or something else. So they would use bones to clean themselves. And the jinns came and met the Prophet ﷺ on one occasion. Rasulullah ﷺ came out with Abdullah bin Masud radiallahu anhu, and he came out to the wilderness, and he drew a circle for Abdullah bin Masud on the ground with his finger, and he said to Abdullah bin Masud to stay there and to sit there, not to come out of it. And the Prophet ﷺ commenced forward. He went, and Abdullah bin Masud radiallahu anhu says that I saw white figures, tall white figures coming down. And they came where Rasulullah ﷺ was, and he spent some time there talking to them. And then Rasulullah ﷺ came back, and then he reported a few things that the jinns had said. And one of them was a complaint. He said, they said to him, tell your ummah that they should not use the bones to clean themselves after, going to the toilet, because we eat from those bones. Allah creates fresh meat for us on those bones. Okay? So when you have bones, it's rahmah, mercy of you not to crunch the entire bone into pieces. If you're going to crunch some part of the bone, it's fine. But every single bone, don't do it to it. Maybe some people, some people like to crunch the bones and bite it and suck the juice out of it, right? Or are we people in the UK mad? You know what I'm saying? Some people like to do that. I mean, have mercy on your jinn brothers and jinn sisters. Oh yeah, there are jinn sisters. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there are. Our sisters don't let us get married more than once, what I'm saying? I wish the jinn sisters would propose, what I'm saying? Like, they can. Why not? There's been cases where they have got married. There's been cases. I'm still waiting. Can you imagine? You got a second wife and your wife doesn't even know. And they're in the same house, what I'm saying? And if she bothers you too much, you just tell the other one, go and pinch her. No, but they can interact with you in that sense that they can pinch. I mean, I was in i'tikaf in India this year, in Shah Waliullah's Masjid in Delhi. Spent 10 days there. It was a very small masjid. It's right next to it. It's actually in the middle of a graveyard. The masjid is in the middle of a graveyard. And I must say, alhamdulillah, there's a good jinn there. It used to wake me up for suhoor. 3 o'clock, bang on 3 o'clock. I sometimes used to be, doing the tahajjud and so on, and then you lie down and you just drop off. Bang on 3 o'clock every night, something would nudge me here. And just wake up. And I know it was one of the jinn brothers. Alhamdulillah. I loved it. I wish he would shake my hand, but just didn't. I say you have to get used to them. They're nice. I've met brothers who told me that something wakes them up at Fajr, something like just touches their feet or whatever and wakes them up. It's a good thing. It's a good sign. You've got nice, good jinn brothers or whatever, or sister, what I'm saying. So and they wake you up, right? It's good. It's good. Alhamdulillah. It's all good. Now the thing is, so the meat that we eat, okay, the bones that you have, when you throw them away, you do or you do not see wild cats, not normal cats and dogs and foxes and other things, creatures coming and eating those bones and looking for those bones. Yes or no? Those could be jinns. Those could be jinns. It may be a normal dog. It could be a jinn. Okay, especially when they look for bones and when it just goes through bones, it could be that. And there are cases where people, have put, bones out there. And some cats could actually just be jinns. They could. And they're just stray cats out there, Some dogs could be just normal jinns out there and they move around. It's fine. Just don't be freaked out. It's normal. They can change form and shape and they can be out there. Now, I do understand that Asian people are just terrified of dogs. Or is that in the UK as well, yeah? Asian people just don't like dogs. Is that right? It's like, just dogs, man, dogs, get away. But the Quran is really powerful. The Quran is very powerful. And those of you guys in high school, and I'm hearing a lot of, you guys just moving towards atheism and this and that because of certain things you just didn't understand or didn't get to know of Islam. Come on, man, have faith and use the Quran. This is not in any hadith, but I've used this for my whole life. I've used this for my whole life. That there's du'as, many du'as in the Quran. You just use them and they work. They work like magic. And one of them is the du'a to get rid of dogs. Dogs won't actually come near you. But you're not interested, are you? Not really, because we just have the problem in the UK, right? So I just don't need to share it with you, do I? You want to know? You serious? Seriously? I'll tell you next time when I come. In Surah number 18, Surah Kahf, ayah number 18, there's an ayah, وَكَلْبُهُمْ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَاعَيْهِ بِالْوَصِيدِ 18:18. Just remember that. It's easy to remember. Okay? وَكَلْبُهُمْ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَاعَيْهِ بِالْوَصِيدِ 4 words or 5 words. Any dog comes or you're near any dogs, just read that. Since I've been reading that, no dog has ever sniffed me or touched me. And sometimes when I read it, they go away. Seriously, they go away. And if you want to pump it up a bit, you think that there's a Rottweiler, what's the vicious dogs that you got? Pit bull, right? Yeah, you got one of them. Ayatul Kursi, man. Ayatul Kursi. You read, right? That thing's not going to come near you, but you got to have faith. Okay, you got to have faith. I remember once I just came out my door and was coming to my car. My brother, he got into the car. His family, they got into the car, and there's a big, I don't know, Doberman. I don't know what it was. And my brother said, "Get in the car." I said, "No, I'm not getting in the car." No, he's in front of my house. I said, "I'm not getting in the car." He said, "The dog's going to come. He's loose. There's no lead on nothing, right? And it's coming towards me." I said, "It's fine." وَكَلْبُهُمْ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَاعَيْهِ بِالْوَصِيدِ. The dog looked at me, walked away. Alhamdulillah. You guys, why are you going towards atheism, this and that, man? Seriously, Quran has got power, man. You ever tried the power of those? I will tell you, I've never had a nightmare the night I've recited Ayatul Kursi and blew on my chest. Never had a nightmare. Never. No shaitans coming that night and giving you a nightmare. You don't believe in the power of the Quran? You try it out, dude. Try it out. Have faith. And don't forget, don't be fireman Sam in the toilet. Use that properly first. And you got to get your bit of salah done as well. You can't just do hocus pocus when the time comes and you're not listening to Allah and all the other things. You do your salah. Do your salah. Keep yourself clean and you use some of this stuff. And it works. It works all the time. So, they can turn into dogs, cats, whatever, and jinns can turn into human beings as well. They can. They can turn into human beings, and they can be visible. But they choose when they want to do it, they can do it. Right now, we could have some jinns sitting here that are actually in the form of human beings, and you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. And they will be completely normal. I know that you get these stories about jinns having, when they come in the form of a human being, they've got their feet sticking out from their heel side. No, that's not true. That's not true. They'll be completely normal, just like you sitting here, right behind you. The guy right behind you could be a jinn. You know what I'm saying? See, some people are looking back. I made you look. It could be the case. You don't know. It could be, but they're good guys. They don't do anything bad. They're fine. And they stay around us, they help us sometimes, it's fine. Sometimes you might hear in your house, put your hands up if you ever heard this, no one's in your house, you're the only one in your house. And you're downstairs and you hear someone walking on the floor above you. If this ever happened to you, put your hands up, whoa, bruv, look that, look this way, bruv. Look this way, I'm getting you today back, It happened to you too, yeah? You should move to the UK. You don't belong here. Anyway, I've heard it several times. Several times. Now, first, it does scare you. Because you think, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's up there, oh God. You know, you want to just move from the house, you do something else or whatever. But you get used to it. There's nothing wrong at all because these are good jinns in your house. And many houses have these. And they just walk around sometimes. Sometimes they let you know that they're there. Now, how far do they go to let you know that they're there? It's up to them. Sometimes they stay in your house, they will never make a noise. Some jinns won't make a noise ever. Some jinns will. Some jinns will walk in the night time and you'll hear them. One particular masjid I remember, oh my God, this is going about, this is 1989. 1989, I was in a masjid in the north of England. We went in Jamaat, okay, and we stayed there for a few nights. And I was with my friends, and we were talking, chatting. We were all in our sleeping bags in a masjid. I can't remember the name of the masjid. It was a weird masjid on top of a hill, right? Spooky anyway. The imam also freaked you out. You know the imam? He used to read like this. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. He was like an 8-year-old. Could have been a jinn, I don't know. Honestly, the imam freaked you out, right? Anyway, small masjid, tiny masjid, maybe just a little bit of that corner, right? And we went upstairs, and all the chachas had gone to sleep, and me, my friend Najam, Hafiz Najam, and others, you know, your young kids, we were about 14 years old, 14, 15, and we were in our sleeping bags, and we were just chatting, you know, just whispering to each other, you know, yeah, what's going on, yeah, this, that. All of a sudden, 1 a.m., we heard these noises in the masjid. And my God, man, these noises we never heard. At first it was like doors creaking and opening. And I said, Najam, you heard that? He goes, yeah, I heard that. Stay quiet, right? Right. Now, you know, we're in our sleeping bags, we're actually getting a little bit closer to each other. Not for the wrong reasons, bruv. And then we heard footsteps in the masjid, in the corridor. And you clear, doom, 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 doom. And there's one step of footsteps. Then you had a whole load of footsteps. Doom, 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 doom. And then, wallahi, I'm saying this to you, in the masjid, I'm not lying to you. We heard it was almost like horses trampling through that corridor. There was a group of them that went firing through there and lasted for a good few minutes. And me and my friend were like, but they do come in sometimes. You just stay quiet. I remember another time when I was in, I first went to the masjid that I became imam in. But this was just before I became imam. I used to go there for Taraweeh. Small masjid. It was a synagogue before. They converted to a masjid. One hall, cold hall they had. And no one used to stay in the masjid. Just a hall on its own. Just a couple of toilets in a hall. That's all it was. Very, you know, it's about quarter size of this hall. And me and my friend, Hafiz Sahib was doing Taraweeh with me, we used to sleep in the corner. We used to have a little railing around us. You know those hospital sort of dividers that you get? We had one of those on wheels. We used to divide ourselves in the corner. Let's say a corner over there. Musallis would sort of come from here. There's like a main door that they come in here from the mihrab side. And we're in the corner somewhere there we used to sleep. For 25 nights, we slept there, nothing. Everything was fine. I think it was the 25th night of Ramadan. One of those nights, my friend decided that he's going to go and stay with his family. And I was alone in the masjid that night. I'm fine, you know, I shut the door. So imagine there's a main door here, I shut it. There's another door inside, I shut that. And there's a light in this corridor here I left on. And I've just walked all the way to my, you know, sleeping bag. And I've just got into my, trying to get to sleep. And I just got in, and this must have been about 12:30. I closed everything, and by about 1ish p.m., this door clearly opened, and there was a creaking sound of the door. You know, sometimes when you open a door and the hinges need some WD-40, you know, to make them better. You know, we guys, we don't use WD-40. So it had a clear sound open and the door was closed. And I thought, Ya Allah, nobody unlocked that door, the main door. And I'm the only one that's locked it. And I heard this clear sound that something's come inside. And when it came inside, I'm like a 17-year-old at this time. Okay? And it was walking in the masjid, but it wasn't walking like that. It was sliding his feet across the carpet, like shh, shh, shh. Because some jinns walk like that. Some jinns will actually walk with steps, and some jinns will walk by sliding on the ground. And it started to slide, and I was like, I just took my steam bag and I just put it over my mouth and my nose, and I started my kalimas, boy. I was reading Ayatul Kursi, I started Yasin just under the blanket, so the jinn can't see me reading, right? And I could hear it, clearly hear it, that it slid its feet all the way till it came to that railing part. And I could feel its presence. I didn't look, I could feel its presence looking over. I just kept on reading. And then it carried on, it made a circle, a whole circular thing all around the masjid, right? Sliding, all around, till it got to the door. It opened the door again, and it went straight through. And I must have dropped off somehow. Fajr time, someone woke me up from the musallis, or suhoor time, someone woke me up. And that was the night that I heard the jinns. And they do come in the masjids, and sometimes they come because they want to pray. And once I actually did see one pray in the masjid. Because later on when I actually became imam, I wanted to meet one, It's nice to meet one, right? Why not? Because first you're a bit scared and then you sort of get used to it. I mean, I wasn't really scared like that, but it kind of just jolts you a bit, to know that's, because the masjid I was in, I used to close the door. Imagine I've closed that door there, and outside there you've got no one, no human being outside there. Okay, there's a fence outside there, there are cars going by, but there's no youth or anything else that's coming nearby there. And I've just closed the door, okay, I've locked it, and suddenly something throws stones on the door. So I open the door, nothing there, no one. Literally I'm putting my head out, I put my body out, no one there. So I shut the door again, and something throws stones on it. And that used to happen quite frequently in the beginning. And then what I did is I used to close the door and I used to blow Ayatul Kursi on the door, and never used to happen. Okay, every time I used to blow Ayatul Kursi on the door, it never used to happen. And then I had a room inside the masjid. They used to throw stones at the room of the masjid. I had my dear Ustad Mullah Fadl Rahim from the UK, Rahimahullah, may Allah give him Jannatul Firdaus. He was a wonderful individual, Subhanallah al-Azim. I had 4 years with him in his suhbah, in his companionship. And subhanallah, this ustad, I'm not making it up, he used to see jinns walking the day. Allah gave him this immense firasa. If you've never met a person like this, you're going to call me an X, Y, and a Z today. You're going to say you Sufi, you Bidati, you this, you that. You're going to give as many names as you want, but you can do that at your free will, my friend. Because if you haven't met a true wali of Allah or a mu'min who has got firasa, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam talked about firasa. He said, ittaqu firasa al-mu'min fa'innahu yanzuru bi nurillah. Be aware of the inner sight of a believer, because he sees through the light of Allah Azza wa Jal. And my dear Ustad Mullah Fadl in 1998 or 1999, he came to that masjid, and I sat him down in my room and I said to him, Maulana, I said, I get stones that get thrown on this window here. And he looked out. And I was close to him by that time. I could freely talk about these things. He wouldn't normally talk to people about these things, okay? So don't think that you can just go up to him and talk to him about this. So he said, there are jinns here. There was a canal by, and they like water and like trees. Where there's trees and water together, that somehow that combination works well for them. So he said to me that there are jinns there, and they're being bothered by the fact that you've come in the masjid and you're staying here by night, because you're doing amal, you're doing actions, and those actions are bothering them. But he said, don't worry, you keep up with it, they'll leave. Okay, after a while they did leave. But in that masjid, I heard jinns laughing, man, in the daytime. I heard them laughing. Once I was in the room, and these two doors that were very heavy glass doors, right next to my room on the outside in the passageway, about 1:30, 2 a.m. in the morning, I was up in my room and they opened. open and close. And then I heard footsteps. All the way down the corridor. All the way till the wall. And then he just disappeared. He must have gone out. So I knew they used to come in the masjid. So I wanted to sort of see one. So then I started to walk in the dark in the masjid. It's quite cool. You guys should try it out. If you guys want to meet jinns, want to be good, you should come to the masjid. Mullah, let them come to the masjid. Yeah? That's the way you could bring the masjid, man. It's going to be, you know, these guys jinn busting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? You allow it, man. Yeah, chill out, man. Do your qiyamul layl here, have a proper qiyamul layl, and, you know, not too many kids, right? Because you're going to disturb the jinns. You might get freaked out by the morning boy. But anyway, it's good. What I used to do, I used to be alone. I used to walk in the masjid, all in the dark, and I wanted to catch one and see one. So once I came out of my room, I just happened to just open the door, and I came out of my room, and my room was like right next, like, imagine that this is a hallway. Quarter of this hall here is a hallway. That's the main masjid, and there's a corridor here. At the end of this corridor, where I'm sitting now, there's a room. Okay, so I come out of this room, I just closed my door and I looked into the masjid area there, and I saw a jinn praying salah. A real jinn praying salah. It was, it looked light green and a bit whitish. Light green and a bit whitish. It had its feet about this high from the ground. Okay, its head was like near that, you see that archway? Near there, and it was in qiyam, and he had his hands tied. He was standing there, and he was in qiyam. Now, I just saw it, right? I want to just close my door. When I look back again, it disappeared. Okay, because normally what they don't want you to bother them, right? I'm going to tell you a true fact. Jinns are much, much, much more scared of us than we are scared of them. If you're going to take anything from today, you take this part. Jinns are absolutely, frightened of us. And you might ask why. I'm talking about common jinns. There are jinns that are there are jinns that will break that barrier and they will come into us or into our world. Okay? And most of the time when they come in our world, they won't bother us, but there are times when they can bother you, and there will be a reason why they will bother you. There's always a reason, okay, for things. They don't just willy-nilly just think one day, hey, let's play a prank on that guy. Okay, there's no such thing, okay? So what happens is they can enter our world, and whenever they want to enter our world, they can, but usually they won't. Usually they won't. And it's up to you of how you lead your life. But if you, in your heart, you're not scared of them, they will be scared of you. One of the biggest things the human being has against the jinns from entering its world is your human free will and the courage and power you have inside. If you're not scared, they're scared of you. Guaranteed. If you're not scared of them, they're scared of you. And if you, I remember once Mullah Fadluddin Sahib, again, my ustad, he told me this. I've never shared this before, so I'm just the first time sharing this, in Cali, Chicago, man. Chicago, sorry, oh, whoops, I nearly said California. Oh, you guys think you're so big, man, you're higher than this state and that state, because you're Americans, isn't it? You're Americans, man. You think you're above everybody, even the Americans are above other Americans. I just don't get it, man. So, Chicago is the first time I'm sharing this with you. My Ustad Mullah Fadl Rahim, Rahimahullah, he told me, he said that he was in an i'tikaf for 40 days once. In the middle of, at that time it was India. Pakistan had formed, I think it probably was, some part of Pakistan. Okay? He was in a masjid where he was sent by his Shaykh in the masjid to do 40 days i'tikaf. But he was bothered by a jinn in there. And that jinn used to come in the shape of a dog. It was a black dog, and he used to scare him in the night time. And this is my ustad, I have no reason to not believe him. No reason. I mean, he's one of my dearest teachers. Very, very, highly respected individual who used to teach us Sahih Bukhari and so on. In fact, he used to teach Jinn's Bukhari. I'm going to come to that next. I'm serious about this. I'm not making this up. Don't think I've come here with a load of bunch of, fabrications. You're never going to verify them because you can't go back to England to find out. No, you can. I'll tell you how you can verify them. So he was in this masjid and he told me himself, he said, bothered by a jinn, and he said to me, he said, Hasan, he said, one day I decided to go for that dog. The dog he was a stray dog that used to come in the masjid. And don't forget, those masjid, they don't have like locked doors and things like you. They have open doors. It's an open, some poor masjid, they have open doors. So a dog used to come in the night, every night, and used to growl at him and scare him. One day, he just got up and he chased the dog. Okay, he chased the dog and he chased it around the masjid, right? Around the masjid. It was a black dog and chased. And don't forget, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has told us that the black dog can be the shaitan, the devil, as in the jinn, as a black dog. Can be. Don't think all black dogs are like that, but it can be, right? So he chased him until he said he chased him towards a wall and the dog leapt towards the wall and disappeared into the wall. Just disappeared into the wall. And he said from that night, that jinn never came back. Okay. Now when I was in madrasa in Nottingham, this is going back in 1993, it was a very old, archaic, old building. It was an RAF building, and you had 120 rooms here in this building. You had massive halls. You had an east wing, west wing. We moved into the east wing. We used to sleep there just in a few rooms because there were only a few students in the beginning, maybe about 50, 60 students. Later on, there was up to about 300 students there. But that particular year, 1993, there's only a few students there. I was in the east wing, downstairs somewhere, and Mullah Fadl's room was above, okay, in the second, on the second, well, you guys, what do you call, guys, do you have a ground floor first? What do you have?
Ground is first.
So what's this floor?
The first floor.
This is first floor. And then you have second floor, and then that's basement, right? Okay, so I'll try and get your terms. So I was sleeping on the first floor, and he's on the second floor, okay? And his second floor, I could see through the window all the way up, sort of up there, that's where his room was. You couldn't see his window, but you could see the wall of his room. And one night I woke up. In the night, must have been about 2 something, okay? I woke up, there was about 6, 7 of us sleeping in that room. We all had mattresses on the floor. I woke up and I heard this entire sound. Illallah, 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 illallah. I just whole group of a sound coming from outside of, the window, right? And I thought, and there was other tasbeehs, other things that were read, la ilaha illallah, other things that were read. And I woke up and I thought, I can clearly hear that. So then I got up, right? Dark room, I got up. I could see the street lamp outside that lit the whole area outside. You can see the leaves outside, the trees, the wind blowing and all that. You can see it because of the light. And I got up and I looked through and I couldn't see anything, but the sound was coming from there. And I was amazed for 2 minutes. I heard it. And next morning I went to Mullah Fadl Rahimullah, and I said to him, Maulana, I said, last night I heard this. Because I used to serve him breakfast. And surprisingly, Maulana said to me, he said, you heard that? He didn't say to me, what was that? Sure? No, he said, you heard that? And I said, yeah. I said, all this dhikr coming from, I couldn't see anything there. He goes, don't worry about it, don't worry, he won't hear it again. I couldn't work out what it was. I only found out when I went to my Shaykh in Bangladesh, Mufti Rashid Rahman, and I related to him the story. He told me. He said, it seems that Mullah Fadl Rahim Sahib, he had jinns that were his murids, that he had, he used to teach them how to do dhikr. Okay? Now you might think, well, that's a bit far-fetched, this, that, right? Let me give you another story. Okay? His house is 89 Pitt Street, Oldham, near Manchester. I've given you the address. You can go there, right? I don't want a whole few planes going down there right now, okay? Because Mullah Fadl Rahimullah has passed away, right? He's passed away, but his son's there, living there. His son's name is Ahmad, okay? And his son told me this, I've heard this, his son telling me straight up, and this coincides with other things we've seen with Mullah Fadl Rahimullah. his son said that many nights he woke up. And you know, his father is now probably about 80 years old, Mawlana Fadl Rahimahullah, about 80 years old now. And Mawlana Fadl Nisa''s wife passed away a very long time ago. So he didn't have a wife. His son and his son's wife were in the house. His son, his wife, and the kids used to be in another 2 rooms. He used to be in 1 room upstairs, 3-bedroom house. His son Ahmed woke up on several nights and he would hear his father talking to someone in the room, upstairs in the bedroom, talking to someone. Now, obviously, guests used to come all the time in the house. So his son was really disturbed by this. Who's bothering my dad at 1 a.m. in the morning? How did he get in the house? And how did he go upstairs and talking to mom and dad? So he'd get out of his room, he'd go to his father's room, he'd open the door, and his father's sitting on the bed. The lights are on. His father's sitting on the bed. He's got a pillow in front of him. Sahih Bukhari is open in front of him. And there's another pillow in front of him on the bed, just there. Another Sahih Bukhari is open, facing the other way, but there's no one sitting there. So he says, Dad, was you talking to someone just now? I heard you. He said, Beta, kuch nahi. Son, nothing. You must have heard things. Just go back to sleep. Several nights he woke up to this reality. And it's very clear. Mawlana Fadl Sahib used to teach Jinn's Bukhari. Rahimahullah. He had jinns with him. Subhanallah al-Azim. We knew of this. Okay? I mean, he used to warn us not to go to certain parts of the building. Okay? And that's where some of you might have heard that whole story. I said, I'm not going to bother you with that story again. If you want to hear it, just go to the internet on YouTube. You'll hear the whole thing about the boy who becomes Hafiz in 1 day. Right? Most of you probably heard that, but go on there, you'll hear it. Sorry? It's not famous here? Well, they're gonna Google it today, yeah? They got YouTube, yeah? They're all gonna do it. Who heard that one? The story about the boy in the mother says, yeah, see, so you got all these. The rest of you that don't know, you're gonna go to YouTube. And you're gonna put in there the boy who becomes Hafiz in 1 day, and you'll hear the whole story. And if you wanna listen to the rest of the jinn stories I say there, which I'm not including this one, just go there and hear it. I'm not gonna repeat the whole thing because I'm covering other stories in this one which I didn't cover before. Okay? Now, the Mawlana Fadl Sahib Rahimahullah, he was a brilliant individual who, you know, was blessed in so many ways. And this is where you find where, subhanallah, a person who's so close to Allah Azza wa Jal, you know, if you get so close to Allah Azza wa Jal, the good jinns will really want to get close to you if they can, without you getting freaked out. And there are many shuyukh across the world, many, you know, scholars across the world, who've had jinns that have come into the world. They just come. Sometimes you don't have to be a sheikh for this. You don't have to, you can be just a young man, young woman, whatever. You might get one coming towards you just because they want to befriend you. I missed out on a big opportunity once because a jinn actually, you know, was trying to make friends with me, and I just froze. I froze. I was 17 years old. This was in Dewsbury Markaz, 1994 or something. Okay? There was a world ijtima there. 60,000 people came. He was there? MashaAllah. See, even he was there. You was the jinn, right? I'm kind of looking at your eyes now, Maulana. You know, like, seriously, have you guys followed him to his house? Do you know where he actually lives? Okay, I'm sorry. So, World Ijtima, 60,000 people came. It was a massive, you know, gathering. Tents were outside, and we slept in the tents, okay, for several days, few days, 3-4 days, something. And then once everyone left on the Sunday, everyone had to move from the tents. Like, imagine there's tents outside there on a plain piece of land, and then people had to move into the main markaz, into the main masjid. So I moved with my sleeping bag. It was a blue sleeping bag. I remember quite clearly. I just picked it up. I came all the way into the markaz, and everyone had to shift there because most people had left by then. Came in, put my sleeping bag out, and I was so tired. It was about 11:45. I got in my sleeping bag. Oh my God, man, this thing stank. Seriously, because I realized it was some chacha's, sleeping bag, some uncle's sleeping bag. Must have had some real bad breath, right? But anyway, it wasn't mine. It wasn't my sleeping bag. Sorry, but if you're an uncle here, I'm an uncle too, all right? It was kind of smelly. So anyway, it wasn't my sleeping bag. I rolled it back up. I put it back in. It was exactly the same color, everything. I took it to the lost property. And I said, I'm really sorry, but this is not my sleeping bag. I've lost mine. I need to find mine. Please, if somebody returns it. And they said, what's your one? I said, look, my one's quite clear because I had some books inside the sleeping bag at the bottom. Okay, so I would know my one. I was quite tired. I didn't check anything. I just brought it straight in, tried to go to sleep. But I thought, you know what, let me go and check again. So now when I'm going back again at almost 12 o'clock, I'm walking towards these tents. These are massive tents. I mean, one tent would probably be almost the size of this hall. Okay, these are really, almost like the size of this hall. So probably bigger, yes. So actually, it is bigger in terms of the length. So I imagine I'm walking from where that pillar is, okay, inside. Now, this whole place has got one tent here, another tent here, another tent here, another tent, another tent. And it's full of these massive tents. It's a whole football field where these tents were placed. So I walk in there. Now, no one's here. No kid, no human, no, prankster, whatever you want to call it. No one's here. So I walk inside there and I start looking at the few bags that are left all around, start to grab them. It was all dark inside, but there was a bit of a street light that was coming through, and there was a bit of a light that came inside the tent. So I'm starting to touch these bags from underneath to see if there's any books inside, because I can't see. Right? So I'm going around, feeling the different bags. I'm going around. I went all the way around there, that edge, all the way down here, and all the way down there, came all the way up to that spot there, where that guy is, okay, looking at who is that? Yeah, I was about around there, and I'm checking a bag, and all of a sudden, from that corner, right inside the tent, something said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You can imagine it's pitch, so black inside here. I can't see anything. All I can see is the street lamp, the light just coming a little bit inside the tent. And when he said salam to me, I just froze. I completely froze. When sometimes you just see whiteness? Yeah? I saw a bit of whiteness, and my breathing was slightly different. And I said to myself, look, don't faint right now. You could wake up in Gotham City. Or Transylvania. I was joking, yeah? So I said, don't faint. Honestly, I said to myself, don't faint. And it took a few seconds for me to keep my senses awake. I looked at the light and I said, I'm going to walk out of here because I don't know what's in that corner and what's going to come towards me. I'm only 17 years old. But I missed out on a massive opportunity. I didn't realize what I was doing at that time. So I looked at the light and I just slowly made my way out towards that light. And I came out the tent, I went towards the markaz, the masjid, and I was a bit relieved. And I got towards the masjid, and you know what? I thought to myself, I've heard a story before that they do these things sometimes because they want to make friendship with you. In fact, one of my cousins told me this story in Bangladesh where once he was out, early in the morning, and he saw a whole group of jinns praying, and he fainted. He actually fainted. This is my cousin in Bangladesh. He was late night walking somewhere before Fajr. He was in these marshlands, and on the marshlands he saw a whole group of jinns praying, and he actually fainted. And he woke up when daylight came, and later on when he told this to some ustad over there, he said, well, if you had joined those jinns, because he could clearly see them praying, so if you joined those jinns, then after the salam they would have made friends with you. But you've got to have the courage to do it. Okay? And I remember the story at that time, and I said, you know what, I'm missing out because I've got to go back, and there's probably a jinn that wanted to make contact. So I actually went back, straight back, okay? And still no sign of any human being or anything in that whole area. So first I thought to myself, let me quickly look behind the tent and around the tent. So I now just went straight behind the tent, and I started looking, there's no one there. So then I came back inside the tent. I came right inside, I went towards the corner, and I said, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. But there's no answer, because the jinn had gone. Because when the jinn sees that you've got scared, it really feels sorry for you. A good jinn that wants to make contact with you, if he sees that you become scared, it will really feel sorry for you, or it will feel very guilty and it will go away. And that jinn went away. Because I actually came back to Muhammad Fadl Rahim, Rahimullah, and I told him the whole story, and he said, yes, that jinn tried to make contact with you. And it was a good incident. So if you had said salam back to me at that time, then you would have made contact with the jinn. It would have befriended you. Okay? And there are people who have had jinns that befriend them. It's a good thing. If you've got a friend that's a jinn, good man. Good on you. Seriously, good on you. The same markaz that I said, believe it or not, we witnessed this with our own eyes. Okay, now imagine, there's a hallway on you call it the second floor of the markaz. It's massive. You can fit 15,000 people sitting there for a bayan. That's the markaz upstairs, right? About thousands. You can fit thousands. A massive hall. Okay, so we had carpets that came to put the carpets, take the carpets upstairs to that floor and leave the carpets there, so that next day the carpenters could come and put the carpets out. We were students at the Madrasa in Dewsbury. So these carpets are huge carpets. I'm talking about from that wall till halfway of where the chandelier is. Okay, that's one roll. Massive rolls. 20 of us had to pick this one roll up. And massive truck came. We picked so many rolls of this, and we had to sort of take, 20 of us took one roll slowly upstairs into the top floor. We left them there because next day the carpenters are going to come and they're going to put them out. But we did one thing. We actually left them in the front line, on this end of the masjid, in the front line. The people who are in charge, they locked the masjid. Okay, they locked the masjid. And most of the time that upstairs was locked anyway. So they locked all the doors. There are chains on it, locks on it, okay, and left a good maybe 20, 30 of these rolls near the front line. And we went away that day. We came back the next day to the hall, and you explained this to me. All the rolls from this side were on the other side of the masjid. You can't get a whole army of people in the night that are going to shift that. You'd hear about it. The lights would be on. You'd hear people. Why did they do that? Because jinns like to come to the masjid in the night time. They like to pray, and they like the first saf, and they like to do jamaat here sometimes. They like to do the tahajjud, and that's why if you sleep in a masjid, it's good to sleep away from the first saf, because you sleep towards back. I mean, we've had stories in Dewsbury. You ask any of my colleagues in Dewsbury in the early days, in the 1980s that were there were jinns in the markaz upstairs, and if you slept in the front saf, near the front saf, something took hold of your blanket from the end and pulled you all the way to the other end, because they were coming to pray. There are several colleagues that will report this to you. In fact, one guy got up one night and he saw the Quran in mid-air rocking. That's right. You want to believe this? You believe this? If not, please ask the Imam here, come and sleep alone here. Inshallah, inshallah. Why not? If you want to really see them, then come here. Don't do the other stuff to try and get in contact with jinns, like the Ouija board, and these other weird ways of getting the shaitan. All right? We call it Ouija board. What do you call it? Ouija board? Yeah? You have any other ways that they call them? Spirits, ghosts? Yeah? Okay, there's many methods that you got. You got witchcraft as well, and this is where we're going to get into sihr and so on. There's witchcraft as well, where you can invoke the jinns. Now that's a very dangerous thing to do. Very dangerous thing to do. Because jinns do not want to be trapped by a human being. And human beings can't trap them. There's ways. I know an ayah of the Quran, if there's a jinn inside a human being and I blow that ayah on the hair, if I blow that ayah on the hair, I know exactly what ayah it is, and if I blow it, then I know that jinn's going to be trapped in that human being. I have to blow another ayah to release that jinn. There are cases. If you've never seen a real exorcism in your life, then, I guess you're Americans, man. You don't believe in anything, you know what I'm saying? You don't believe in anything. If you want to really see cases of jinns and so on, you've got to be at the right place at the right time. And people who do exorcism, go and spend some time with them. If you really don't believe in this stuff, go and spend time with people who do exorcism. And you watch patients that come to them. Now, not all patients have got jinns in them. It's a fact, okay? There can be psychological disorders that people have. And you got to know the symptoms, the right symptoms of when somebody has a jinn and when somebody doesn't have a jinn. There are going to be clear things. If I forget to say some of this stuff, please put your hand up later on and ask me the question. I'll tell you, okay? If I forget, because I'm trying to keep my thoughts in one process. So you can have that situation, where jinns come into our world and they can move certain things if they want, okay? But again, they're doing it for a good purpose because they're praying inside the masjid, and you shouldn't be someone who's freaked out by that. But if you do ever use something, don't go through those methods of the Ouija board and other things, because what's happening with those is, with the Ouija board, with witchcraft and other things, there are ways that you use spells and you're invoking the demons to come. Okay? And you read certain things for them to come. And if you do it according to the method, you will get contact. You will get contact. But that might be your last contact, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going to happen to you after that. If you actually are in the Ouija board and you actually break the chain, you break the circle, you could get possessed. And if you get possessed, it's a serious thing. Normally they don't break the barriers between the jinns and the humans. There's a barrier. Now what happens is this. There is a proper barrier between every human being and a jinn. And the jinn normally doesn't enter into your world. It doesn't want to do that. They have to break and they have to violate that barrier to get inside you. There are a number of ways that barrier becomes weak for them and they can violate it. First, there's a law that they shouldn't violate it, and most jinns won't violate it. Because if they violate it, there is hisab for them on the Day of Judgment. Allah has talked about it in the Quran. قَدْ اسْتَكْثَرْتُم مِّنَ الْجِنِّ قَدْ اسْتَكْثَرْتُم يَا مَعْشَرَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ قَدْ اسْتَكْثَرْتُم مِّنَ يَا مَعْشَرَ الْجِنِّ قَدْ اسْتَكْثَرْتُم مِّنَ الْإِنسِ. There's an ayah in Surah, I think it's in Al-An'am, okay, if I'm correct, right? So this particular ayah talks about them wanting to overcome the human being, right? The Quran has talked in Surah Baqarah about كَالَّذِي يَتَخَبَّطُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ. A lot of the scholars have said this is when the jinn will actually possess the human being or try and afflict the human being. Now, normally they will not break the barrier. When will they want to break the barrier? Well, if you pick on them. If you pick on them, then they may come after you. It's like any animal. Animals are scared of you. But if you corner an animal, if you pick on an animal, the animal's got no other defense, it's going to jump at you. It will try and scratch you. Okay? It's the same as jinns. If you pick on them, if you try and lure them into your influence, they can harm you. They can harm you, right? Because they don't want to be under your possession. They understand that human beings can take control of them. And if you take control of them, it's not good on your behalf to do that. You shouldn't try and take control of them for no reason, okay? And there's a big ikhtilaf here. Should you ever take control of a jinn or not? Because there's that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that he actually caught a jinn inside the masjid. And he tied the jinn to a pillar of the masjid. That pillar is still there today in Masjid Nabawi. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to wait till the morning so he can show the Sahaba what a jinn looks like. But then he remembered the ayah of Sulaiman alayhi salam, where Sulaiman alayhi salam said, "Oh Allah, give me a kingdom where nobody has a greater kingdom than mine." And he said, I thought of my brother Sulaiman, because they're all brothers in prophethood. And he said, then I released the jinn. And from this, certain scholars have said that it's not allowed for any of us to ever bring a jinn in our possession. But there's other scholars that have disagreed with that. And they said you can if it's for a good purpose. Meaning that you befriend a jinn or you get a jinn in your possession, something, but you only do things that are halal to do. You don't hurt the jinn, you don't make the jinn do things it doesn't want to do willingly if that jinn wants to help you. Because I know certain raqis, certain people who do ruqyah and so on, they've got jinns with them and they will use their good jinns to try and be there to take other jinns out of a particular human body. Okay? So if you pick on them, number one, they can come for you. Number two, if you're being very careless, okay, and doing silly things, and probably, throwing stones at trees at night where jinn could be sitting there. You're probably, going to places where jinns could be. See, what you're supposed to do when you're walking outside there, okay, when you're walking outside there, and in the night, in the dark, okay, we're not talking about normal where human beings are. We're not talking about the car park outside there, okay? We're not talking about that. This is where human beings walk. The jinns know this is the pathway of human beings. Jinns won't be there. Normal pathways, jinns won't sit there. And if you bother them there, they know they shouldn't be in there in the first place. However, if you choose a pathway that is something that usually human beings don't walk upon, or it's like trees there and other places and so on where jinns could be, and you suddenly come there, you could actually step on a jinn. So what did our Prophet ﷺ teach us when we come inside the house? That you make salam, or you say something to notify the people around you that you're there. And there's three purposes of this. Okay? One, when you say salam, you get the salam of the angels. You get the salam of the angels back. Second is, if there's any human beings inside the house, they know that you've come inside the house, so it's a good way of them being notified. You don't want to freak your own family members out. Okay? I remember one brother, my God, man, seriously, one brother, his wife complained to me. She said, Shaykh, can you have a word with my husband? I said, what's wrong? She said, he just walks in the house and he comes in without anybody knowing. I said, why? He said he likes to listen to what kind of conversations we're having. So what this brother used to do, he used to take the keys, to put it in very slowly, open the door very gently, come inside, close the door without anyone hearing it, take his shoes off nicely, go to in front of the living room, the door which is closed, and he used to just stand there. What's my wife saying to my kids about me? What are my kids saying about me to my wife? And that's what his probably interest was. A very freaky thing, right? And then suddenly someone would open the door, oh, Dad's there! Dad's there, oh my God, it's like, where did he come out of? Okay? So the wife actually complained to me, and I actually said to her husband, I called him over, I said, what are you doing? He said, yeah, that's fine, it's my house. He said, my house, I can do it. I said, you can't. He said, why not? It's my house. I actually asked him, why didn't he? He said, well, I just want to know what they're up to when I'm not there. Right? So I said to him, brother, it's a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to notify your family when you're coming to your own house. In fact, when you're going from one room to another room, it's good to notify them that you're entering the room. The Sahabi said, Messenger of Allah, you want me to take permission in my own house to enter rooms? Prophet ﷺ gave a very quick answer. He said, would you like to see your mother naked? He said, no. So well, then take permission. Meaning that one day you might just open the door in your house. Oh my God! You embarrass your mother, you embarrass yourself. It could happen. You embarrass somebody else, it could happen. That's why, the sunnah way is when you're in your house, or your own house, you entering your own house, you say, when you enter, say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Say the salam loudly, so the family members know you're in. The jinns also have a right that you're in. That's my point. The jinns have a right to know you've entered. You don't want to freak the good jinns that are there. It's not nice. They also have a right to know that you're there. And when you go from room to room, or suddenly you come to another room, it's a sunnah to notify that you're coming, either with another salam. It's an ahadith. Rasulullah ﷺ used to do a separate salam when he used to go from room to room, because he wanted the people to know that he's coming. And sometimes you do it like this. You just do that, and you notify the jinns or other human beings that you're coming. Okay? So when you go out there and you walk on, about trees or whatever else it is, it's a good thing to notify the jinns that you're coming. So you make a sound or something else. Okay? And if you can avoid walking right in the thicket of trees and so on, just avoid him and go where human beings normally walk. It's completely fine. Okay? So that's a second reason why they might be bothered with you and they might want to come into your world. A third reason is that, and a big reason, honestly, a big reason is that people are bothering them, especially when you have your foul smells. Okay? And usually, look, the good jinns don't like you having foul smells. The bad jinns love you having foul smells. Okay? So if you have foul smell, or you're not cleaning yourself, like I said earlier on, then it's a very easy thing for bad jinns just to stay and hang around with you, and they can even, be near you. But the good jinns will be bothered by that. They don't like it, okay? If you come into the territory, you're picking the apples and pears or whatever, again, it's nice to say the salam and do things, okay? It's nice, it's an adab, it's a respect. If you want to chop a tree down, even, out of respect for our as humans, respect for the jinn brothers and sisters out there, you basically just say salam, and then it's good to notify the fact that you're going to take a tree down or something. It's just adab. You're not going to find this in sunnah. You're not going to find this in ahadith. But it's nice, you're going to take a whole tree down. Maybe there's a jinn or family, whatever, living here. You don't know, just announce it. Right? Or read some surah or something. The ulama mashayikh say that you should recite was-sama'i wat-tariq at that tree for about 3 days. Notifying them that you're gonna come and you're going to chop the tree down. Because sometimes you go to a house and you chop a tree down, or you come in the house and sometimes this has happened. I'm going to be very clear with you. Several cases I've heard of this. You walk in a house, you come in a house. It could be even a business. Okay, you come in a new business. Our house, and you see all this paper that's sellotaped to the doors, and on top of the doors, on top of the windows, on top of other things, okay? And people have told me they've done this. They came and they thought, what's this, man? What's all these papers with things written inside it, okay? There's verses of the Quran written there, okay? So what they do is they come in and they tear all these things down. From above the doors, above the windows, all the windows, they tear them down. I've had several people tell me this. They've done that, and then after that, spooky things happen in the house. Those things were there because the last family that were there, the last business owners that were there, they had problems in the place. So they must have gone to a person who does ruqya, and the person who does ruqya put certain ayats written down on paper on top of the doors because those prevent the jinns from coming inside. It is a case. If you don't want to believe in it, you don't believe in it. But when people come freaked out to you and say, what do we do now? When you say, where are those pieces of paper? We threw them away. Whoa. Well, go and start doing ruqya. I mean, you could just ruqya by reading. That's completely fine. You don't have to use papers. You don't have to use ayats written on paper. That's completely fine. One of the best ways of doing ruqya is just reciting the Quran. The best ways to do ruqya. And I'll come to that in a little while. So, the thing is, sometimes you come to a place, you might bother them, but because of the fact that you're ripping or taking things, out that were there to protect the property itself. Okay? And when you move in a new house, don't be bothered by it. You move in a house, you don't have to get a whole reading done, whatever, in the house. You don't have to. Just move in. If you're a good Muslim family, if you're doing your Quran, if you're doing your Salah, don't worry about it. All the bad jinns will leave, okay? The good jinns will stay. There'll be nothing wrong with your house. You'll be completely fine in staying in your house, okay? Now, beyond that, you can use sihr or black magic to get jinns invoked and involved. Okay, now this gets to a very sort of sinful and bad state where, the Quran in Surah Baqarah talks about it. يُفَرِّقُونَ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ. Right? In Babylon, the two angels came down because they had to teach people the difference between the miracles of a prophet and what actual sihr is. Because in that time, people were in so much in magic, they started to say that Sulaiman alayhi salam and others, all they really did is they knew black magic, and we're doing black magic, so we're equal. So two angels were sent down to break this this weird belief that people had made. So their whole mission was they came in human form and they called people over, the magicians and others who were doing black magic, and they said, look, we're going to tell you what black magic is and what black magic is not. We'll give you the formulas to it, but we don't want you to do the black magic. Don't continue this thing. They're already doing it. But when they taught them, some of them thought, this is even better. We've got ways of doing this black magic. And they used to try and split the husband and the wife through black magic in the Quran in Surah Baqarah. Don't think that this is some weird thing. How can this happen? मैं तो डॉक्टर साहब हूँ, ये होता नहीं है, हमने कभी प्रोफेशन में नहीं देखा है. Doctor साहब, I love you. And I love all you doctors. I hear in America you got the most doctors ever. I love you all you doctors. Don't get me wrong, I've got a degree in psychology. And I'm now going to go into the thing of telling you differences between one and the other. Not every patient that comes across has got sihr, black magic or a jinn. Okay? Not every patient has got that. Some people have got psychological problems. Okay, there are a number of problems that the human being can develop from his own brain. That is true. The human psyche can develop certain hallucinations. It can happen, it does happen. And there are a number of these things that our doctor brothers will tell you that is true, and I can verify that in patients. However, the doctor should not dismiss the fact that there can be a case of a jinn that is bothering a human being. And it's got nothing to do with medicine or medical treatment. It's got to do with ruqya. Now, how do you know? How do you know which one's which? Well, I'm going to give you a few things you can try. Number one is that patients who've got a problem with a jinn that has entered the body and just at certain times making them do certain things, they will be bothered by you reciting Quran. They will actually be physically, they will be bothered by you reciting Quran. They will be bothered with the adhan given. So if you give the adhan, right, you'll see them just acting very abnormal. Their bodies could shake, okay? They would probably be very uncomfortable sitting next to you, especially when you read the Quran next to them. Okay? Sometimes it doesn't happen straight away. Sometimes it takes time for these individuals to react. So it doesn't always happen straight away. But I'll tell you one thing. If you are a righteous human being, this is subhanAllah. This is where you find out that, our deen has really got some real essence. Okay? The people who practice Islam the most, their presence alone will bother the jinns that are possessed human beings. I've seen this several times. Okay? The people who practice Islam, you don't have to be a scholar to do this. Okay? But if you're not a scholar and you suddenly came across a case here where some jinn was bothered by your presence, don't become a ghostbuster. Okay? Don't kind of think, bring it on. Right? Because not every jinn is the same. Not every jinn has to be bothered by you. You might think, well, why not? Because just as human beings, you got, in boxing, you got featherweight, you got lightweight, you got, is it middleweight? What is it called? Yeah? And you got heavyweight, right? Heavyweight, yeah? So, if a heavyweight fights another heavyweight, he's fair and square. But if a lightweight comes with a heavyweight, he's dead, my friend. He's dead. He's going to be kebab. Finished. He'll be finished. So if you become a ghostbuster and you think you can do a bit of ruqya, you better be careful because you probably dealt with a lightweight jinn. You probably deal with multiple lightweight jinns, and that's fine. But you better be careful because one day you're going to come across a middleweight or heavyweight jinn and he'll teach you a lesson. And I'll give you a story right now about that I actually witnessed with my own eyes. But just before that, let me just go back. So I was talking about sihr, harut, marut, and what was I saying? Ruqya, and I said something else, man. So, sorry? How to distinguish, that's good. How to distinguish, right? So, okay, so Dr. Saab, I was talking to you like, I love you guys, yeah? I love you guys. But please don't bring your whole books here and think that religion has to be rewritten because of your books that you studied. Okay, we believe you in your medicine, we respect you, okay? But these are the things that you need to know. So one is that the Quran recitation, adhan, will bother someone who's actually possessed by a jinn. If he's got medical problem, the adhan and the Quran recitation will not bother them much, or will not bother them at all. Okay? Number two, one of the symptoms of having a jinn possession is that they will get affected and have their symptoms rise and their abnormal behavior come out around the time of Maghrib. Okay, around the time of Maghrib, because that's when the shayateen are released. And during the night periods, okay, more than the day periods, okay. Another symptom of someone who's got a jinn or something in him, as opposed to having, a normal problem, is that this person will have such abnormal behavior that they will do things or say things almost as if they're schizophrenic. Okay? Schizophrenia is when a person has two identities and they sometimes snap in one and sometimes snap in another one. Now, it's a medical condition. It's a medical condition. And if people have a proper problem with this, then yes, sometimes it may not be a jinn. Okay, it may not be a jinn. But sometimes what happens is when a person switches and they talk in a deep voice normally, okay, so it's normally like this, like, I don't come from here. That kind of sound, I've heard it several times, this kind of sound, and they talk in a deep, coarse, rough voice. Okay, all of a sudden, it's more likely it will be a jinn than to be schizophrenia. And when they sometimes talk in another language that this person never knew, then you better take it on yourself that it's more likely that it's a jinn. It happens, man. I've seen it myself. They don't know how to speak certain languages and suddenly they speak a whole new language. Now again, you can have, bashes to the head that can make you just say a new language. It's true. In medicine, you can have studies on this. It can happen, but it's very rare. That case is very, very rare. But this person, what will happen is this. They will switch to this, almost like they're possessed. They switch to this language, and when they conk out of it, they'll be back to their normal self. And then the second thing that will happen is, where you know it's a jinn, is when they're back to the normal self, they will tell you they felt that they couldn't control their body. They were there inside. They can remember the kind of words they're actually saying, some of it, not all of it, but they couldn't control themselves. They couldn't control their mouth or what they're actually saying. Okay? Another thing that will happen is when a jinn possession is there, the person may have, and a lot of times they do have, extraordinary power, physical strength, where they can actually take on 7 people. Right? Now again, some psychotic problems can have that, but I'll tell you one thing here, is that I've got this Raqi in London. I normally send people to him. Again, guys, after this, please don't come to me and say, Maulana, I got this pain, I got this problem, I got this, because he's going to deal with them. Yeah, I got nothing to do with that. Yeah, or you send them to whoever you want, brother. Yeah, I'm not dealing with any problems. I've told you in the beginning, I'm telling you right now. So don't come to me with your problems. I do not deal with them. But I've got this Raqi in London, this Maulana, and once he had to go and visit a mental hospital. So he went in the mental hospital. You know what happened? He went in the mental hospital inside the corridor, and a third of the patients leapt out of their seats. They're completely normal day. They leapt out and they came to the windows that were, glassed, and there was wires in the windows. They just wanted to get hold of him. And the warden there said, "This is very unusual, Mr. So-and-so. We don't get this." And wherever he was walking, they were just following him. So the thing was, later on, he said that, look, these ones are actually possessed by jinns, but the rest of them are actually normal mental patients. So you can get mental patients and you can get people who got jinns. Now, I would actually recommend our doctors, okay, that you do explore with a Raqi, another side, if you've seen some of the symptoms I'm talking about. But I'm also going to say to the Raqis, please don't, if you've got a problem in your house, especially Asian people, oh, there's a jinn. Oh, come on, bruv, man. There's a jinn. Oh, someone's done sihr. Oh, it's got to be that. Someone's done sihr. There's a jinn. Take him to Raqi. I'm a lot of the Raqis out there, they just want to make some good money, man. They want to get their phone is in everything. The phone is in everything. Okay? I'll give you a case. North London, where I am. One of my 22-year-old students, I won't give her name, but she had blackout 3 times. She just fainted. 22-year-old girl going to university, completely normal life. And she has a blackout 3 times. So the family said, jinn, sihr, gotta be one. They were going to call this Raqi. And I know that Raqi. That Raqi charges £500 per session. Crazy, man. Once he charged £1,200. They're just making money. And once he dealt with a patient, and this is a really, really sick one. Okay, they've got this boy here. He had this problem. You know what happened? He went out to play soccer. Soccer? You call it soccer? You call it football. You call it soccer. So he went out to play soccer, and someone kicked the ball full speed, right? Smashed it on his ear. And in football, it happens. And he bust his eardrum. So this guy was in serious pain, blood was coming out, and he thought, oh my God, oh my God. It was a Sunday morning, and his dad told him, you better not play soccer. Yeah, so his dad was really strict. His dad's going to beat him up if he finds out he played soccer. So he said, oh my God, I better make something up. Okay? So he's a normal kid, Muslim kid, right? So he was in real pain. He went home. His mother said, what's happened? He's got blood coming out. Nothing. I got beaten up. Yeah, just someone punched me. Just made something up. Because he didn't want his father to find out, if he played soccer, he'd be dead meat. He'd probably bust the other ear. So, they said, straight away, you got to go to a hospital. So he went to a hospital, and now they're trying to look at this, the ear and so on. And the father comes, what? What's happened here? He just, someone just hit me, just random fight, whatever. I just didn't want to say football. So his dad went straight away and called the local, Mesabzi. Mesabzi is the Maulvi Saab. Not every Maulvi Saab is one of those, dodgy guys. And not every Mesabzi is dodgy guy. I'm just saying he's one of those dodgy guys in the area. So he came. Right? And you know what he said? He came to the hospital, but you know what he said? He said, Jinn. And this guy is sitting there thinking, you phony, ball kicked me, you're saying he's a Jinn. And the guy actually said, start blowing on him and reciting on him, said, Jinn, Jinn, Jinn. I took money from his dad and all of that, right? And this guy's thinking, you phony, man. And he couldn't even say that, hey, I was playing soccer, because his dad would have walloped him on the other ear. So anyway, this is a real case I'm talking about. So I'm talking about this other girl, 22-year-old. She has 3 blackouts, and she faints, and the family says they're going to call that same guy. Okay. So anyway, I didn't know anything about this. She's my student. She said my teacher is Hasan Ali, and whatever he says, I'm going to go according to that. Okay. So please call him over. They said someone's done it on her. She's a young, beautiful girl. They probably want to get married to her. And all sorts of things. People make rumors, man. So what happens then is they get hold of me. I come to the hospital and I see her and I questioned her. And she just said she doesn't know why she does blackouts. So I found my Shaykh in Bangladesh. And Allah gives firasa to these people. These awliya of Allah, they have firasa, man. And if you haven't met one of these, man, it's your tough luck. Honestly, you need to go travel in the world. You need to find the awliya of Allah. They are there. Go and find them. Go and stay in their company. And go and listen to them and feel what Allah has given to them. So he said to me straight away on the phone, he said, this girl, you know what he said to me? He said, this girl, she's met someone. She wants to get married to him, but her family's not going to agree. And I think, what? I went straight to the hospital a couple of days later. Told the family to go away when myself alone sat next to her. And I looked at her and I said, who is he? She's like, huh? I said, who is he? She went red in the face. I said, my Shaykh has said that you've got a boyfriend or someone that you want to get married to, and you can't say to your family because there's something. And she broke up. She said, yes, there's someone I want to get married to, but I'm from Sylhet and he's from Sylhet, but we're from 2 parts of Sylhet. And my family are not going to agree to it. I'm saying, like, typical, man. You guys do these things. I don't understand why you do these things, man. Why you do these things? You bring your tribal mentality from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, you bring them here. Bengalis sometimes look at the Maimul. Maimul means those guys, they're fishermen in Bangladesh. The guy's never picked a rod in his life. He's never done that. Seriously, he's never done that. He's kamtar logo, kamtar zameen. That guy's never driven a rickshaw in his life. His granddad did it. He's a Chicago, dude, man. He's joined the MSA. He's a cool dude. He's got beard. He's salih. He's got good, grades coming up. He's a decent guy. They're rickshaw drivers. They're this, they're that. What? That's his great granddad, man. What's his fault? And then you're gonna say no for the girl to get married. And what happens after that? Years pass by, right? They're both in love with each other. There would have been nothing if you had said yes. I've been dealing with these cases, man. My heart honestly tears open sometimes when I see these cases. What happens after that? 8 years go by. 8 years go by. Where they're refusing, to different things. And then they get the girl married off somewhere to some guy from Pakistan or something. And you know what the guy does? He comes home to his house with a white girl. Non-Muslim, everything. Then they go, oh, kidhar gaye wo? Oh, kidhar gaye? Where's that one gone? Bring her. Oh, she's already married. Right, well that's what happens. I'm not going to say every case is like this, but honestly, don't start all this stuff, man. So anyway, this girl, she opened up to me, she said that they're from two parts of Sylhet, and that's why they're not going to agree. I said, fine. My Shaykh has said, read these du'as and so on for yourself and these parts of the Quran, and you'll be fine. And she was actually fine after that. Alhamdulillah, she was actually fine. I know it's getting quite late now. What is it, 10:15 right now, 10:17 right now. You guys want me to end this right now? No? You're warm, man. You guys, mashallah, man. You're thirsty, bro. You're thirsty. Yeah. You are more good. My Jinn brothers, just wait till I go home, man. Wait till I go home. So what I'm saying to doctors and to Rakis is there's got to be middle ground understanding. Like I'm telling you that there are symptoms on both sides. But you know, people who say every time they say jinn, they say sihr, they say this, they can get it seriously wrong as well. Okay? And I've dealt with those cases. One way to test, all right, you got to test his Rakis. Honestly, you got to test his Rakis. The people who do ruqyah, you got to test them. Just do this. There's nothing wrong in doing this. You know, you got your pain over here in this shoulder. Just go to him and just say, look, there's a pain over here in this shoulder. And then let him tell you that jinn's doing this to you and doing that to you. Then tell him, well, you forget it. All right? Just say something. It's not, you know, just to test him out. Because some of these phonies, all they want is your money. And there are some of these that they will take hundreds and hundreds of dollars out of you just because they just made it a profession. Okay? But there are serious cases. And how do you deal with the serious cases? Well, sometimes the sihr, people do sihr. And unfortunately, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you got sihr cases around here. You got them in parts of America. We have a lot of them in London. In fact, sometimes I feel that we've got more in London than we have in Bangladesh, where I come from. You know why? Because rich people get jealous with one another and they can't sort it out face to face, so they actually go to someone to do their black magic. And if you go to someone to do black magic, that is clear kufr. It is disbelief. If you do it knowingly, if you know that it's a sin, and you think it's halal for yourself, and you think it's okay, it's fine to go to someone and cast a black magic on someone else, you actually come out of the fold of Islam. But if you don't think it's halal for yourself, then you've got a major sin on yourself. And any damage that you cause to the family because of your black magic, because it's true from Surah Baqarah that it can actually happen, okay? So any damage that you cause, you are totally responsible for that. You're totally responsible for all that. On the Day of Judgment, you got some serious questioning that's coming your way, right? Even though you ordered some other guy to do it, you are responsible. It's like if you hire a hitman to go and, you know, pop someone out, then you are the murderer as well as the hitman. You ordered the hitman, you gave him $10,000 to go and kill someone. You're a murderer, the hitman's a murderer. Is that clear? So same thing in sihr. If you set someone up for, you know, send someone for sihr, you're also responsible, fully responsible for that. Now, what do you do in cases like that, whether it's a jinn or whether it's sihr? Sorry, before I go into that, I was going to tell you this Ghostbuster, this crazy Ghostbuster guy, yeah? I won't go into the full story, but there was one particular person from Manchester that came with, you know, big skills, you know, he's telling you all these big stories. And it was a student of mine. The father called me over because the student was actually ill for a long time. Every time he tried to do salah, something would pull him back. Every time he would do salah, he was ill for about 3-4 years. Every time he would do salah, something would pull him back. Every time he goes into his wudu, something pulls him back, something stops him from doing it. Now, you know, the antidote of the jinns and sihr is that you actually do salah. You actually read Quran. It's going to hurt you to read Quran because they're bothered by it, but you've got to do it. You've got to read the Quran. That's the best way to get rid of them. The more of it you read, the more they will move away from you. So anyway, what happens in this case is, he's had so many people doing ruqyah on him. This guy comes and he does ruqyah, and subhanallah, I was there, okay? He called the jinn within the person within a minute. He made him sit down and he got the jinn to come within the person within a minute to minute and a half. I was surprised. And this person suddenly just came up and he swore at the Raqi. Now, why was I there? Because I was a translator. Because the Raqi spoke Bengali, the Jinn spoke English, the patient spoke English, and I speak both languages, so I was there translating. So he goes to me, what did he say? I said, he swore at you. He just came in, just straight away said the F word, swore at him, straight swore at him. So what did he say? I said, he swore at you. He said, is it Bengali? I'm going to say, yeah, Bengali is one. How many Bengalis were here, by the way? Put your hands up. There's few only? Miskeen, man, go to New York. Go and join the rest of them. What are you doing here? So he goes, you go to Bafunam Loaingu High School, Bafunam Loaingu. Means that he said that I'm going to make him say his dad's name today to beg mercy from me today, yeah? So I go, whoa, okay, man, you're a big boy. I said, look, you better. And this Jinn was swearing at him and so on. And he starts doing, he goes, okay, you watch. And starts reading, start blowing on him. And the Jinn comes, he starts laughing, an ugly laugh, yeah? He goes, we don't take orders from people like you. And basically the Jinn was telling him straight up, that, you do what you like. So this guy's blowing and reading and this and that, and he's hurting the Jinn, you can tell. He's got pain like this, all that, right, moving around. Honestly, I witnessed it with my own eyes. And, he's laughing at him sometimes crying, sometimes in pain. And good 2 hour session, then he let him go. He let the Jinn out. And then after that, the guy within another 1-2 minutes woke up. He was completely fine. He was normal. Okay, this patient, he went up, got lunch for us, we sat for lunch, and over lunch, this Raqi was giving all these big stories, man. This case, I did that case. Like typical Ghostbuster, like I can do that, Yo, bring it on, right? The one I said to you that you've been taking middleweights on, but you never saw a heavyweight come your way? This was the case. So he's telling me I did this case and that case. He gave us 22 stories. Wow, man. So we're big, okay, cool, man. So 2 o'clock or 2 p.m. or something, we started the second session. So he called the Jinn back in within a minute. Called him in. So saying, you going to go? He goes, we don't take orders from people like you. Starts swearing at him. Right. So then he's doing his ruqya, I'm translating in between. There's one point when he even left the guy with me all alone and he goes off and does wudu. I'm like, I'm talking to the Jinn. Seriously. I wasn't freaked out or anything. I just said, yeah, all right, you're good, you're good. We're okay. I'm just translating, So what happens then is, I just talk normal to the guy, how he is, this and that. And, he was saying, he's gonna go for that guy, You wait. And then what happens is he comes back after wudu, he does his session to 5 o'clock. Nothing happened. The Jinn didn't budge. Now, straight away, what you should know is, if in the first few minutes, if a Jinn seriously starts, taking you on and says to you, if he says to you, go and give everything, do what you like, I'm not going from here, you better just, I don't know if there's any people here so mad enough to go through this stuff, but really the Raqi should just stop and know that this is a heavyweight, and just get out, man. But he didn't. So what happens? 5 o'clock finish, he said, okay, we're going to start the next day, 10 a.m. in the morning, we're going to start the third session. I said, fine, I'll come back tomorrow. Next day, 10 a.m., I'm in the house again. I drove about 7 miles or something to get there, got in the house. Father's there, his son's gone ballistic. Son's gone mad overnight. You want to see how mad he got, right? So what happened? What did his son do? His son took a knife, right? And he ripped all the wallpaper in his room with a knife. He smashed the window, right? Smashed the window, got blood. His hands were cut through the window. It was with a knife, and he was crazy. They had to lock him in the room throughout the night. He was a bit normal in the morning, but that night he was crazy. Where was the Raqi? Where was this Ghostbuster? We call him, the guy's not answering his phone. So what's going on here? We call him. So then we actually got through this Raqi through another one. So I called the other one, this Mufti Sahib. And I said to Mufti Sahib, I said, can you please get hold of him? What's happened? Because this guy, is a big guy, I'm saying. So then Raqi, Mufti Sahib called him and then phoned me back. And he said, unfortunately, he's not going to come back. I said, why? He said, last night 3 jinns attacked him. And they beat him up black and blue all over. He's got tens and tens of black spots all over his body. They mashed this Raqi, this Ghostbuster. Okay? That Ghostbuster couldn't get up from bed for a few days, man. Right? There wasn't actually one jinn involved here. There was 3 jinns involved with the kid. And that that Ghostbuster went away. I thought, yeah, today you met your match. Today you met your match. Don't go around just saying whatever, you can do this and that. Or you want to start Q&A? That's fine, inshallah. We'll start this very quickly, okay? So my point is, don't try and become some wild guy who can do this. And I don't want any of you guys to get into this. What do you do? Okay. What you do is this, for your own protection, okay, from any of this. First, I've told you to keep yourself clean, number 1. Number 2 is do your salah. No jinn will like to bother you if you're doing your salah regularly. And on top of that, very important, the tilawah of the Quran. The most effective thing against black magic or sihr or jinns or anything is the tilawah of the Quran. You recite the Quran, they will not want to come near you. Okay, 3. Ayatul Kursi is really important. You blow on yourself. If you want to read it after every fourth prayer, you can. It's one hadith. If not, then do it after Maghrib, after Fajr, or do it before you go to sleep. Okay? After Fajr, after Maghrib, have a regular habit of reciting Qul Huwallahu Ahad 3 times, Qul A'udhu Birabbil Falaq 3 times, Qul A'udhu Birabbin Nas 3 times, blow in your hand, just recite it is enough. But when you go to sleep, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is to blow in your hands and pass it all over your body. You can add Ayatul Kursi if you want as well. You will not be bothered by jinns. If you are still bothered by them, okay, then what you do is you recite the manzil. Manzil has got 33 verses of the Quran. These are ulama that have put 33 verses to do with getting rid of sihr or jinns or just protecting yourself. Even if nothing's wrong with you, you can recite these 33 verses, blow in your hands and pass over your body. They're all from the Quran. Just type in Google Sharif, right, Mr. Google. Just type in there Manzil English PDF. MANZIL, Manzil English PDF. You'll get the translation of it in a PDF format. If you don't want to have the English, just the Arabic, just to Manzil PDF, it'll come up with 33 verses in total. Just recite those after Fajr and after Maghrib, blow in your hands, pass it over your body. If there's somebody else in the house who's probably possessed, then as a family member, you can just tell them to read it themselves, blow it, and don't get into this Ghostbuster business. Just either tell them to read it themselves. If they can't, then go and see a Raqi, okay? But if it still bothers you, then what you do here is, according to hadith of Tirmidhi, you start reciting Surah Baqarah. Surah Baqarah. And Surah Baqarah is one that will get rid of any evil jinns from your house or from your residence or wherever it is. And if you want to make it easy, this works also. Just get a recitation of Surah Baqarah played on your laptop or on a CD or something, and just let it carry on playing in the room or in the place where you normally feel awkward or possessed or near possessed. Okay? Carry on playing it there. Whenever you engage yourself with Quran and there's jinns there, sihr there, something, you are going to get bothered and you will feel worse. You will. But just as the doctors give you antibiotics, you will feel worse for a while, but then you'll get better. The same way you carry on with the tilawah, you'll be better. Okay? So you recite that, or you sort of play that in the background. You can put it in a very low sound, just leave it all day playing. In the night time, you're going to sleep in the bedroom, take the laptop downstairs in the kitchen or something, just let it play there in a very low tone. It'll be completely fine. Inshallah, after days, the jinns will be bothered and they will not want to stay inside the house. Okay? So these are measures you can take. Now, if you feel that you can't, now I'll tell you, look, none of you need to go to a Raqi. None of you need to go and get Ruqya. Why? Because if you increase your recitation of the Quran, trust me, no matter how much of a heavyweight this jinn is, no jinn can ever challenge the Quran. No jinn has ever or can ever challenge the Quran if you're continuous. The reason why it doesn't work for you well is because you are not practicing Islam properly. Right? You can't just go to a gym and take all the powders they give you for your extra muscles, okay, and have the yolk of the egg all the time, but not do any exercise. You can't do that. Your muscles won't build up. You need to do the exercise and take those powders, whatever it is, together as a combo. Then you start seeing your body, coming into shape. So you can't just recite these verses and not do your salah. You can't recite these verses and not go to the toilet properly or other things you're not doing properly, okay? So learn your basis of Islam, then recite the Quran, do your salah. There is no Muslim that will not have the Quran, effective. You will always find the Quran effective, okay? And the more you recite, the more, you will get to station. Those of us who are the most, who are the best in terms of practice of Islam, the jinns won't even come near you. Okay, now I'm going to go to a Q&A, but before I go to that, all I'm going to say to you, there's a number of things I haven't covered in this one, which I covered in my other one, The World of the Unseen, on YouTube. Just put my name in and put that in, you'll come up. Or just put jinns or something with my name next to it. Not that I'm a jinn, but inshallah it'll come up. Okay, so you can listen to that. It'll give you a number of other things that I haven't said in this one. Okay, Jazakullahu Khairun. And now you've got Q&A. I believe that you've got some text messages that are coming in. Before you, so text messages. I'm going to give priority to text messages. Any questions without the topic, please don't read them out.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Please text your question to our masjid number. That's 630.
I'm sure you got enough by now, man.
No, it's okay. We can close it.
Just read a few out because I started. Well, it's been about 2.5 hours. I'm blabbering on, right?
Okay, khalas.
Just get a few
Inshallah,
questions.
we just do the final dua.
No, just do a few questions. I'm all right. Go on, a few questions. I'm sure that's important. Go on, I'll say it.
The number is 630-360-2373. You can text your questions to 630-360-2373. Inshallah.
Okay, so does the Bermuda Triangle have anything to do with this tonight's topic? I don't know. Please go to the Bermuda Triangle and find out. Next one.
Actually, before you leave, I want to announce that we have a part 2 of Into the Unseen series. This was more about Jinn. The next series is about black magic and evil eye. That is next Friday, January 13th, with Mufti Azimuddin. Mufti Azimuddin will be speaking about the evil eye and black magic next Friday, January 13th, after Isha. Jazakallah.
Okay, I heard if someone recites Surah Jinn, they can control jinns. Is it true? Can we control all jinns or few jinns? Whoever you are, just reciting Surah Jinn is not going to get you any control of any jinns, but there is a method or something. But I would highly recommend you not to try any of that. Okay, it's a very, very dangerous. You could risk your life. You could actually be dead in the process, or you could end up being mad. Right? There are people who've actually lost this. They become insane in trying to catch a jinn. And there are people who've actually lost their lives. So I would highly recommend you that you don't go through any method to try and get any jinns under your possession. Okay? Why is it that jinn can access our world but we cannot access theirs? I mean, we shouldn't access theirs and they shouldn't access ours. That's the given law. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, they do, and some humans do. But you can completely have a normal life without accessing that. Is it possible that the jinn that met Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are still alive? Would these jinn be considered companions? Look, there are reports to say some of these jinns are still alive, and there have been people who have claimed they've met them. One particular one, I think, was one scholar from India who met them. He actually wrote a book or a small little booklet on this, the meeting a Sahabi jinn and so on. It's a long story. I won't get into it, but it's possible. It's possible because some jinns can have a life of 1500 years or long life, and some people do claim that they're out there. Now, I've never met one, seen one, or whatever. It's only other people saying, stories about these. So I can't say anything further. Or does it make you tabi'i? Should I just look at it now? I don't know, man. I think probably by a second default or something you might, but not you can't say I'm a tabi, like unless you probably narrate some hadith from them, then maybe there's something that I don't know. But then again, you can't verify. It's been very difficult to verify this because in the time of the Sahaba, the human beings, you had other human beings to verify this. If a jinn just says to you that I saw the Prophet, I was there, you'd have to go to some process or something to verify that. I don't know, I've never been there. And I'm sure you've never had that case as well, so stop giving me hypothetical questions, man, come on. How do jinns die? The angel of death comes to them and takes their soul away. Finished, man. Yeah, next one. I would assume the jinns have cities, but who do they inhabit? Why do they inhabit our houses and frequent our masjids? Look, they have the city places, yes, but it can get quite comfortable living in our dwellings. That's what it is. It can get quite comfortable because there's the right type of warmth there, or sometimes a cold room. They like that. They like to be around others. And it's just a matter of choice. It's like, why do some people live in these houses and some decide to live in the wilderness? There's some human beings that go in caravans. Do you have caravans over here? Yeah? You have caravans, they go in caravans, they stay out in the wilderness. Some humans decide to do that, okay? Some love hiking and always staying, up in mountains and so on. Same as jinns. Is it haram to interact with a female jinn? Ooh, is there any more to that? You're taking away, man. That's quite interesting. Oh, someone's getting very technical here. I mean, have you met one? Yeah? You haven't, so why again, hypothetical one, right? I know I mentioned something in the lecture itself, right? But if you ever come across it, I mean, it's possible because there have been cases where jinn women have fell in love with human beings. There's been cases. Jinn men have fell in love with women. There's a whole thing in medicine. I don't know. You should check this out. It's a real fact that some women go through an entire pregnancy, but when they deliver the baby, there's nothing there. This is real. I'm not making this up. You can check it up. Scientific journals or whatever, they say that this is induced by the human brain. They say it's like the human believes, the human woman, or the female believes that I am pregnant, and they make themselves believe pregnant, and the belly actually bloats. And they actually go through a proper delivery. There's a term for this in scientific medical journals, right? So it happens to very rare women, but when they give birth, there's nothing there. Now, we know that it's possibly a human, it's a jinn that's actually, been interacting with this female human being. And to stop any of that, you've got to again recite the Qurans and so on, because sometimes people do find that there's a presence around them when they're sleeping. Females can feel that, males can feel that. And sometimes, unfortunately, there's even male jinns going for male human beings. I've got a real case in London about this. Honestly, a number of years it's happened. Horrible case where the person would actually, they'd technically be raped while they're sleeping at night, and there'd be blood from the back passage in the morning. And there's a person I know this person. I'm close contact with the person, and a number of years it took the person to actually get rid of this, because he had to go to this Raqi, and the best thing was for him that when he got married, it stopped. One of the most strongest forms of bonds, or when you can't break the relationship between a jinn or a human, the strongest one to break is when there's love involved. And it can actually happen where a jinn falls in love with a human being. It can happen. Again, if you don't want to believe in any of this, you think I'm giving you some, CNN to you, which you watch anyway, or Fox News to you, then just ignore me, man. Just ignore me. But if you stay with Raqis, and if you stay with patients, and if you look at the cases, then you can see this stuff. These are real things that happen out there. But if you experience anything like that, the best is the Quran. Quran overrides everything. Last one, yeah. How are other religion exorcists able to perform exorcism and heal afflicted persons? Why does it work since Quran is not being used? Okay, fine, that's a good thing. The thing is, look, so basically, why do other religions, or how are they able to perform exorcism and actually get jinns out when they're not even using the Quran? So the thing is, look, Quran is the most powerful out of all the, religions, everything out there. Our Quran is 100% pure. So you're going to get pure results from that. However, we believe that the Injil and the Bible, what it is today, it's got truth in it. It's got some original things in it that were there from before. It's got also man-made, fabricated, or twisted parts in there which have been distorted parts of the Bible. So when that truth is recited or read, then jinns will get affected by it, because that is the truth in another religion. It doesn't mean that just because another religion has actually used their book that they're the true religion, or it's our religion versus theirs. Now, it's got nothing to do with that. Sometimes you don't have to even look. Sometimes, if there's a human being, look, let's come to the human being world. If I'm having a fight with another human being, okay, sometimes you can get the other person to feel really scared when you haven't even touched them. You can do that. As a human being, you can do that. Yeah? People, when boxers and wrestlers fight, one fight is a physical fight and the other one is a mental fight. You psych the guy out. You try and give the dirty looks. You make yourself look big and mean, and you pierce the other guy with your eyes, and that causes the other person to be in awe of you, and they're already scared of you, and that mental weakness in them gives you the advantage over them, right? So you haven't even touched them yet, and they're already fearful of you. Now, if you really went up to them, now you're probably a weak guy. You probably don't know how to fight, but because you just showed them, hey, listen. You look at me like that? You look at me like that? Huh? So you raise your voice and your tone of your voice, and you talk really loudly, and you talk like you really know how to fight, and you're like a gunda. When you're not a gunda, you probably wouldn't even be able to scare your wife. So what happened, right? Not that you should scare your wives, yeah? So what happens is that guy kind of thinks that you're a fighter, and he backs off. So seriously, just as placebo works, and with jinns, sometimes you can just threaten them and it'll work. Just the threat will work. I know cases where, people they write things on pieces of papers and they give it ayats and things. Sometimes people have just put scribbles on it and given it and it's worked. Scribbles. Sometimes they've been plain paper, nothing inside it, just given to them, it works. Why? It's a placebo effect. Sometimes it's a placebo effect, and you've got to understand, humans can fool themselves. Jinns can be afraid of something that's not even there. Done? Inshallah? So, Jazakullahu Khair, guys. I don't know why in the world you would want to choose this topic, but anyway, Mawli Sahib got all of you in the masjid, man, I have to say.
Jazakallahu Khair. Also, I just want to make an announcement that besides this topic, we also have other topics that we discuss. Alhamdulillah, we have a weekend academy. The new semester is starting this Saturday, Sunday. So many of the youth, you're available on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. We have 3 hours on Saturdays and 3 hours on Sundays. So new semester starting this coming Saturday. Inshallah, fundamentals of tajweed, intro hadith, seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, fiqh of halal and haram, fiqh of financial transactions, intro to tazkiyah. So these topics will be covered by ulama, inshallah. These are different programs you can benefit from, inshallah. Come to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah protect all of us from the jinnat, inshallah.
Not from the jinnat, no.
And from our nafs.
From the bad jinns, because there are a lot of good jinns. We have to always mention that.
Inshallah.
Don't always think that jinns are bad. They're not. There are a lot of good jinns. And there are some bad jinns. There are a lot of good human beings. There are some bad human beings. That's how it works. So, love your jinn brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Oh Allah, we ask you to accept this gathering. We ask you to give the khair and the barakah and all the goodness that you've written for us. From now till the future, whatever is there, give it to us, grant it to us. Whatever evil there is lying in the days ahead, in the years ahead, whether we know of it, whether we don't know of it, Oh Allah, save us from that evil and protect us from that evil and divert the evil away from us. Oh Allah, give us all the good things that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has asked for and save us from all the evil that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has sought refuge from. And oh Allah, accept this dua of ours. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khairi khalqi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam.